8 mwaka 2022. I hope you're doing well. You're woken up well. It's a fresh week. It's another week. It's a new week. It's on a Monday of the 29th of October 2022. And we still keep up the conversations here as usual. I request that when you join in, please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us. And after like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is the tackle and it begins right now. Lakini kama kaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe. Alafu tukirudi basi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mtu mwingine la ombe. Naona kama kuna safari ya Mungu. Senje, tuombe kwa baba.
Dear Lord, we come before you this morning to thank you for your holy name, for your goodness and mercy upon our lives. We pray that this entire session at the radio station Tackle will be a good session, peaceful and good communication, so that the people who are listening can get an idea or so if they need to have answers. We pray this trusting and believing.
Amen. Asante sana. Thank you so much, Eduardo. Mbele za Mungu. Najua mimi nilikuwa nasema Edward. Ni Eduardo. Mambo ya kizungu hivyo na mimi najua sasa kizungu niliana na Google Maps.
Edward ina sound boring sana. Unaona hata ma soap opera Eduardo ni chali mnoma.
Alejandro. Let's look at the traffic situations on the roads. Nairobi is looking like this morning. Ngong Road not looking all bad, but a little traffic between Prestige and where? And Coptic Hospital, but there seems to be nothing really to worry about. Looking in at traffic coming in from Bagathi Way, a little traffic heading towards the Kenyatta roundabout, but nothing to worry about. Some little traffic as well from the Kenyatta roundabout heading towards the Alingam roundabout, but nothing to worry about as well. A little traffic kawaida too. Looking at Queen's Godek, looking all clear this morning. Nothing to worry you on Queen's Godek, looking all clean towards the Valley Head. Looking it as well at Naivasha Road, looks all clear. Looking at Githaigha Road looks all clean as well. Kingara Road looks very clean as well this morning. James Gishuru joining in towards Waiyaki Way, all clean, nothing to worry about. Waiyaki Way heading towards inbound to the CBD. Some little traffic at Westlands. There is a stage at Westlands hapo kidogo kuelekea ambako hapo Pakin by Radisson. Seems to be some little traffic as well. Hizo ni matatu ambazo zinasumbua hapo, I'm pretty sure. Looking at on Limuru Road, how is Limuru looking like this morning? Little traffic. There seems to be a lot of traffic all the way from Parklands. Is it Parklands? Okay. All the way from Parklands, from the Aga Khan University Hospital, that is Aga Khan Hospital heading towards the overpass at Parklands. There seems to be some traffic as well. Looking in at Thika Road, not pretty good as well this morning. As usual, Thika Road is messed up from KCA University heading towards the Muthaiga Exchange. Kiambu Road as well, there's a lot of traffic. Kiambu Road is not looking pretty good this morning. All the way from the Total Ridgeways heading towards the Muthaiga overpass or exchange. There's a lot of traffic right there. So if you're coming in from Kiambu Road, to me a Red Hill. If you want to access CBD from Kiambu Road, you just turn and use a Red Hill Road, joining from Waiyaki Way, getting to Lavington or Kileleshwa, and yes, you are Roman Dry. Kileleshwa and Kilimani looking all clean this morning, nothing to really worry about. Mombasa Road all clean, nothing to worry about as well on Mombasa Road. There seems to be nothing that can worry you on Mombasa Road. Outer Ring Road looks all clean. Outer Ring Road. Jogoro ndio kuna meza sha kidogo. I'm seeing there's a lot of traffic from Makadara heading towards all the way towards the City Stadium roundabout or Landis Road. There's a lot of traffic right there. That's how the situation on the road is looking like this morning. But you can let me how it is looking like on your end. Niambie wale kwako kuna kaa vipi. Ni kama kawaida ukifika, please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us. And that like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Niko hapa na Senje RUTH AMBOGO. Yes. She's joined us again this morning. It's been a while. Pia tuko na MAINA. Even MAINA
ni regular.
Yeah. MAINA hapo nyumbani. Tuko na Eduardo Githaiga. Eduardo, this is his second time on the show. Yes. I understand that you have a lot of confessions in there. I think I need to buy. I need to buy a Bible.
You don't want to seem like you're mocking God when you talk about confessions, because there's people who take those confessions. But I think today we're going to tackle a lot, and post-election, looking forward to the government coming in and that modulation, and also looking at what went wrong in various campaigns. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's unajua confessions of anything. You have a testimony to give. But no, I think I need to buy a Bible here so that mtu huna shida unasema.
Now with a pastor.
True. Nothing but the truth. All right. Welcome, lady and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Millie Kosgei, good morning, Jero. Good morning to you. Millie Governor Nick Cheriot, good morning. Tuned in from Nairobi, Asante Sana. Michigan Mitch, all the way. Good morning. Where are you watching us from this morning? Millie Kosgei, tuned in from Western Australia, the land of kangaroos. Always looking forward to the show. Thank you so much, Millie. Aze, wewe. Millie, and I come to Australia and nitakuletea zawadi. Kipata visa, that is. Some of us are banned. Tumebaniwa. But when we come to Australia to let us award. Asante. Thank you so much for always joining us every single morning and sparing time to listen to us. Dixon Samba, good morning. Good morning to you. Eza Chumba, tuned in from Eldama Ravina. Asante sana. Gerard Kipkoech, Langar Sama, there is no sound. Iko, baba. Hey, niambie, kama unanisikia. If you can hear me, please confirm that you can hear me. Jerus David, good morning. Good morning to you, Steve Togom. Good morning, Bito. Good morning, MC Kalia. Chairman Menokisha Kotoldip. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Bet Gideon. Good morning, my brother Salmia David Maina, following you from Kericho as I head up to work. Enjoy the week. Tafta pesa. Asante sana, Bet Gideon. From Getwende Kazini. Masi Kyoga, good morning. Tuned in from my way to work. Asante sana, Masi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Jerus David, following you live from Tinderet Nandi. Watu wa Nandi, mambo vipi. Sen Alexis, good morning. Niko ndani. Asante Jumba Chris Panas. Tuned in from Vihiga County. Chemugen alias Lagat, good morning. Elias Lagat, good morning. THETACKLE, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well, my brother. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Have you shared the broadcast? Kama umefika hapa na huja share, tafadhali iko kiasi kidogo. Kama umefika na huja share, iko kiasi kidogo. Okay? Kibegon Edu, Sharon Shani, say I to Ruth Ambogo from Vihiga. Anu watu wa Ruth Ambogo. Azimio. Ana mamoka mapema. Msikali sama, I'm avoiding you people visa ya menokwisha. Asante sana. Msikali, lakini you have run down menokwisha man. I don't know if you want to visit. But anyway, please give us something. Shadak Madago, Ruth Ambogo tunampenda, but she's in the wrong camp. Amevaa yellow leo. Ruth Ambogo is in yellow. So for avoidance of doubt, maybe she has a confession to make as well.
Niko na confession.
Kama kuna kitu ya kusema, mbona amevaa yellow, smart yellow, atatuambia mambo vipi. Wamuyu Mukumbu, good morning GB, tuned in from Pangani. Asante sana Wamuyu. Kip Victor, good morning Victor. Good morning to you, my brother. I hope you're doing well this morning. Let me see. Kina nani wameweza kuamka hapa YouTube? Tuone kina nani wameamka YouTube. YouTube tuone nani wameamka YouTube. Leo nasubiri watu wa Ruth Ambogo. Wanaanza kuamka mapema saa hii. Haya, unajua, should we read too much into the yellow? Ama kuna ujumbe ama kuna mtu amewasha. Okay. Yangu na shanga kumbe na mimi ndio nimeweka maneno. Haya. Kurai, good morning, watching from Moyale. Others we talked last week, tulikuomba utulizie UDA headquarters zile pesa presidential agents Moyale considering any progress. I texted the SG, but I'll still try to call her. But also David MAINA is here. He's an official at UDA. What name mjalipa agents mo?
I think ukiangalia nani ajalipa agents hautasema ni UDA, but what we've done is we've made sure that to the extent that we've been able to, we've paid everyone, but there's some small issues left. So for example, we had lists where some phone numbers were wrong, so we have to go back and clean up that data and then send that money down to everybody. And some places, the procedure for paying our agents was that it would be handled at the county level by the county coordinators. Okay. So sometimes there's a confusion about whether it's the county coordinator or whether it's finance at headquarters that's supposed to handle that. But those are issues that are being solved, and I can tell you comfortably that majority of our agents, everybody who's worked for us has been paid. So maybe there might be an issue about, did you work for 3 days or 4 days? So a small confusion about like that extra payment for 1 day. But by and large, I would say confidently that all, if not all, very few are left who haven't been paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I please confirm kama pesa yako ni gani ya extra day, namba ilikuwa mbaya ama sababu ni gani? Lakini David ako hapa anasema atashughulikia. Mataso Ransom, good morning, tuned in from London. Good to see you. Kelvin Kiari, sound hii hapa. Tuned from Lower Kapeta. Asante sana Kelvin Kipkemei, watching from Qatar. Good work. Good morning to you. Nicholas Cheria, tuned in from Nairobi. Asante. Jerry, good morning. Mkuu Jeremy from Westlands. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure, always a pleasure to have you. Every day, it's a pleasure to have you guys. Noni Belemso, those who are it's lovely to see Ruth, very sober as Mionist, tuned in from Machakos County. Good morning, following from live from Nakuru. Asante sana. Mshasha Shaz, good morning. 28 from Vihiga, say RUTH AMBOGO. Ruth, asante. Nibelem so nakuona aya. Kiprop Caleb, good morning, watching from Kapteren. Anamtano keep morning Gerald live from Mandera base camp. Asante sana watu wangu wa Mandera. Anadabla Moses Wanjala mtetezi. Hey, huyu jamaa aliendanga wapi? Moses Nandala Dangote. Where did you go, mheshimiwa? Sasa kijana wangu Bitok, look for me. Nitakutafuta ndugu yangu. Mheshimiwa nitakutafuta. Nitakutafuta mheshimiwa. Cleveland Otieno watching from Lavington, asante sana. David Kitu tuned in from Kapsabet. Asante. All right, Ruth, kwanza na wewe. Yellow iko mambo vipi? It's been a while.
First of all, mali nilikuwa nimeenda. Nianza na yellow ama mali nilikuwa. I have been away for a long time. I guess it's been a month now. Yes. And I have been away because I left the city on the first week of August upon the request of the elected senator for Vihiga County that Ruth tunakuhitaji kwa ground. Toka huko kwa studio, kuja kwa ground. And I believe it was an honor to be invited by the senator because I think one thing is that he has shown and proven that he believes in the young people. You know, not many people during these campaigns would even want young people. Well, many people during these campaigns had young people on their teams, but not all of them had young people at critical spaces. And by critical spaces, I mean spaces where, for instance, you are allowed to campaign for the candidate. Spaces where you're trusted with some of the biggest responsibilities, such as handling of agents, handling of money. So I think a lot of politicians had their teams, yes, and within their teams they had youth, but youth were relegated mostly to being bloggers, mostly to attending rallies, mobilizing people to attend rallies. But when it came to the last minute where it mattered the most, that who will go to the ground, not many politicians trusted young people. And so I want to thank my senator-elect, Senator Godfrey Osotsi, for calling upon me and realizing my potential, my value, and what I can add to the ground to go and support him at his campaigns at Vihiga. Not just him, but to also basically support the Azimio team in Vihiga County. And to be honest, I must say it was a beautiful experience. Of course, you all know that Vihiga County gave Baba 68% in a bedroom where a principal of Kenya Kwanza was expected to deliver not just 70%, but about 90%. Because, you know, if you are a principal within a coalition and you are expected to deliver 70% in your own backyard, people trust that you have the influence to even deliver up to 90%. So I'm happy with the results that Vihiga County delivered to Raila Odinga. And I must say, Bitok, that experience was ilikuwa kitu ingine, my friend. We would wake up at 4 a.m., mnaamka 4 a.m., you have been picked by 5, hakuna time ya breakfast, mnaingia ground, na hiyo ground ni asubuhi na mapema mshaingia, you're going to door to door. You know, we literally did everything. We went door to door. We went to meet various interest groups. At some point, I remember addressing teachers drawn across the entire county. At some point, I remember addressing chiefs. You know, at some point, I remember addressing community elders. At some point, I remember addressing what we call in Kimaragoli, Magutu, you know, elders of the society, and not just from one area, because, you know, Vihiga County, the demographics of the county are such that you have, you know, Luyas tunakwanga sisi kama, for example, Wakikuyu wenye, kama ni Kikuyu yote, you know, you all speak the same language. So in Luya, we have different, especially in Vihiga, we have different sub-tribes. So we have Maragolis, we have the Wanyores, and the Tirikis. So the Maragolis occupy Sabatia and a bit of Vihiga County. Okay, Sabatia and Vihiga County. The Nyores occupy Hamisi and Emuhaya. And then you have the Tirikis who occupy, they occupy Emuhaya and Luanda, that is the Nyores. The Tirikis occupy Hamisi. So I think what the senator saw in me was that I was a Maragoli, you get? I'm a Maragoli. And Maragolis are from Sabatia and Vihiga. So, and he's a Mnyore. So you must do all this, you have to calculate these dynamics in such a way that your team looks, you know, inclusive of all people. So me, I would go there and in my Kimaragoli, you know, I would tell them, Mrembe Bosi, Nzilumkana, Kuturairo Sengeri, you know, and then, you know, that added to their votes because even the people who would not have wanted to vote for them based on the mentality that, oh, Nyores are getting everything, would realize that even the Maragolis are supporting these candidates. So we went through a lot, to be honest. There are days we slept for only 2 hours. There are days, I remember there's a day we slept at 3. We were told we would be picked at 5. At 3:50, we were called. Bana amkeni, tunaenda ground, you know, kimeumana. But all in all, it was a beautiful experience. What I would say, for instance, what I'd say happened, of course, there's the beautiful things that I'm talking about, but there was a lot of negatives. I mean, the election was, the Vihiga County election was at some point, the irregularities were just massive, especially for the woman representative seat, where my 2 friends, Winnie Majani and the lady who ought to have won, Bagada Violet Afandi, was denied her victory through very unscrupulous ways. We saw a lot of interference with the IEBC officials. To be honest, I'll be honest and say that this interference was coming from one camp, and that is hapa ni kutoboa tu kweli kusema what you saw. You know, especially for the women rep race, we saw a lot of interference from the Kenya Kwanza team, a lot of bribery going on, and this is not just something I'm saying at by the way. This is evidence from observers that were there. Hata mimi mwenyewe I saw it, you know. But at the end of the day, we thank God for the victory, and now we are forging forward. And of course, through God's grace, because of my participation, we are praying that something good comes out of it. Let's just put our eyes tuweke macho yetu and witness and see whether the system, the political system, rewards the efforts of young people. I think what most young people from Vihiga who are even watching right now are saying, that they're saying, you know, a lot of them, I've seen them saying, Enye Ruth, hii serikali ukikosa hatujui sasa. Now we don't know what to say because you genuinely have been there, you genuinely have worked, you genuinely have contributed to the party. You have, and you know, someone might say I came in last minute, but remember, all through the elections, I have been on the media consistently pushing Raila's agenda. I have been off media pushing Raila's agenda. We were with my brother here, Eduardo GITHAIGA, at VIJANA na Raila, where we did a lot. We did campaigns, you know. So honestly, good experience, beautiful lessons, painful memories. Makucha zangu nilienda huko nimeslay. The camera should zoom in and see. I went there having done my nails on day 1. Makucha zilivunjika, viatu zikararuka. So kwa ground, haitaki slaying.
Na yellow umetoa wapi?
Ground haitaki kuslay.
Yellow ni uniform ama ni nguo?
Yellow, I'll be honest. First of all, this is not yellow. This is what we call mustard. This is not yellow. This is mustard. Even this is mustard. And this is an outfit I got 5 years ago from a friend called Shienze. And personally, I usually love mustard. So if you see me in anything that looks like yellow, it is normally not yellow. It is mustard. But even if I wear a yellow outfit, I mean, guys, come on. It doesn't mean that, you know, I am now a member of Kenya Kwanza. Tafadhali ni people, I've been a Baba girl ever since I discovered what politics was. I have supported Raila Odinga's philosophy. Not necessarily him as a person. I'm the person who says politics is about your philosophy, your ideas, your agenda, your history, and what you've been able to do for the people. So for me, I've been a subscriber of Raila Odinga politics since 2002. Na hizi mawingu ndogo ndogo hizi haziwezi nitingisha.
Hi Eduardo. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Such a great pleasure with great people here, young people, energetic. Yes, let's go. Tell me, what do you want to know?
How have you been, man? It's been a while.
Hey, it's been a while. I know the last time I was here, I was in Azimio.
But you stopped being in Azimio.
Things changed. Down the way, you know, life is about decisions and choices.
So you're no longer in Azimio?
No, I'm no longer there. I made a decision personally because I felt that I was not getting out what I have in myself in there. I didn't feel like I belonged there because the kind of challenges that she's talking about, particularly myself. I've never voted for Raila Odinga. You remember I told you last time.
Yes.
And I had really wanted to support a movement looking at his history, looking at who Raila Odinga has been through the past and his struggle for Kenya. I believed in that. But believing is one thing, and implementing or participating is another. So within my participation, it became very, very strenuous to really move Baba to the level that we wanted, especially someone like me coming from Mount Kenya. But before I go into that, I just want to give a bit of a background on, for example, how I myself ended up in Azimio. Of course, we were coming from a breakup in Jubilee. I've always been in Jubilee, and so, you know, it depended what side you wanted to support. So for myself, going into Azimio, I was moving like part of the Jubilee team that was moving into Azimio. But down the line, I realized that some of these things that we're doing are not honest. It's not really the right principle that Jubilee believed in. Jubilee had come together and said through principle, there'll be 10 years for Uhuru Kenyatta and 10 years for Raila Odinga.
If you Raila Odinga, William Ruto.
Oh, William, sorry, pardon me. No, pardon me, yeah, 10 years for William Ruto. So even if you go to my own household, my own family, everybody is supporting William Ruto. And I was going through also a very heavy task of trying to explain to people that Raila Odinga is the right person. So I made that decision because I also went through so many other things. I know of late you've heard even Arnold Maliba was here. Yes. He was talking about the various blunders that were done. Myself, I was there as a professional, as an advisor, strategic advisor on the youth Go TV strategy. So, but that was not able, we were not able to implement some of these things because of the infighting, what do you call it, backstabbing, idea killing. You know, you can sit down in a round table like this and everybody is given the opportunity to give their idea. But if you give your idea in particular, you find there's certain people who will gang up on you and say, that idea is not going anywhere, or try and say you after money, and they make some funny accusations all over. So, you know, unnecessary conflicts and competition. You wonder, you're in the same team with the same people, and you're looking at supporting one candidate, but it's like all of you have different agendas. So to me, as a principal young person, I realized this is not the right place to be. And I also have a young family. And I used to go day and night, Ruth can tell you. I mean, taking all kinds of risks, driving overnight to do, just to go all the way even to insecure areas like Tana River and the deep into Northeastern, where you had to go with police escort. Things when you look at it and you wonder, should I do this for am I doing it for me or am I doing it for what? Because it now loses value. Because the team that you're supposed to work with, that you're supposed to move with, that's supposed to see your sacrifice, are the ones who are trying to bring you down. So the value was lost immediately for me. The value was lost right there because when you're playing a teamwork method, you have to stick to the principle of working together. And this issue of, because you have different ideas or you have different proposals, it doesn't need for other people to fight you. But I say everything happens for a reason. And for me, it happened for a reason because I was able to get back to my family. I lost my wife just last year. So I really needed time off because that toxicity was too much and it was really going to affect my working at home. But in the end of the day, I believe, like she said, that in Raila Odinga's team, you needed godfathers as young people. And if you didn't have a godfather, however good your idea was thrown to the dustbin. But I like one thing that I've learned so far is if you don't have a godfather, you have God the Father. And that's a new principle I'm putting in my life without fear or favor. And you know, I had even other brothers of ours who were working with us in the secretariat, like Maji. It was such a shock because a brother like Maji wanted to help Baba Raila Odinga to win the election. He had come up with scientific methods of how to do it. But he also had ambition to be a candidate in Seme, in Nyanza. but he was kicked out of the secretariat just because he ran as an independent. And such things happening in front of broad daylight to me was a telltale no sign. Like there's danger here. There's kind of discrimination here. And these are the things that added up to myself leaving Azimio personally. And the other thing I want to point out again is the Mount Kenya illusion that was created. It came to a level whereby certain politicians hijacked Baba's campaign in Mount Kenya and snatched it away from the young people. I remember very well, very proudly sitting in Nyeri, having Mutahi Kahiga on one side, myself in the middle, and Raila Amolo Odinga on the other side. And the youth were ready to take in and listen to Baba. But some people came from somewhere. I think Jubilee also, they have issues in their party. You're talking from the vice chairperson, Morade, they want to push their own agenda. They don't want to follow the right youth who are there, who are working with Baba. So they pushed so many youth out of the periphery. And even to the point where now the presidential team was created. You know, you could see the members of the presidential team, those were people with godfathers and zero ground. I mean, Raila Odinga should do an introspection of what really happened. Because part of his failure was part of the leadership that was working for him. You understand? I remember in one point in particular, we had gone to Moranga and the stadium in Moranga, Ihora Stadium, was empty and people were walking out. And we had Peter Kenneth, a limelight leader in Azimio. We had Sabina Chege, another limelight leader in Azimio, but they could not mobilize for Baba. And these are the same people you continued seeing surrounding Baba every day. There's Gladys Shule, who the other day said, she's in UDA, but she said, Baba, these people of yours are the ones who messed you up. One, there was lack of coordination. Baba's vote was not coordinated. There was no coordination at all. Why? Because there was no even proper communication. There was no motivation. These are the kind of things that young people used to always complain about. But they used to land in blind ears because the leaders who are there, most of them are ex-politicians, most of them are well off, most of them have the capacity and they have the finances to really make a change, but they chose to turn the other side and not listen to the youth of Mount Kenya. And that is why you see one Samoei William Ruto, enough respect, salute to him, that man. Because he actually, the book that will be written about him will be one that will be very incredible for the modern history. Because he has overcome so many challenges. And you can see the kind of manpower from Mount Kenya Foundation, from, you talk about it, from even government officers going around supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. And yet in Mount Kenya, he did not get the numbers. And this is because of the teams that were chosen, all right? And lack of proper planning. We can go about it. I don't want to look as someone who's complaining, but the truth has to be said at one time. And for example, when you're delivering the campaign, it's not about concerts. Concerts are meant to get out the vote. You understand? There's getting out the vote and there's knowing even your agent. While you're getting out the vote, those supporters who you get out are the most likable candidates to be your agent. Not people you know. Not people you think you know. Not people who will be brought by a system or someone. You have to have people who are on that ground, who come from that village, who come from that polling station. You also have to work with your mobilizers. Mobilization is not holding a rally. Or what is it called? The one they call it, that day when they meet all the politicians in the podium, it's called what? You know, the one in the podium where they speak and a campaign rally? Yeah, it's called a campaign rally where they speak and that's not the mobilizers. The mobilizers are on the ground. So those are the kind of things that were lost. And then just to complete this is that how do you secure this? You have to have a logistic plan. I mean, I and everybody knows this is public information. Dennis Itumbi the other day said that they had how many motorcycles, how many, how many agents, how many whatnot, how many systems, how many digital footprints did they have on the ground? Meaning that every form from the folder of the polling station that was taken out from 34A, their team had a mechanism of coordinators who were going around in polling stations, and there were still agents who were taking these photos and setting to a central system, a database system. So database collection and transmission dashboards, so that you can see on a screen and know real time using artificial intelligence. And I listened to Njoroge, East African handler, speaking the other day. These are the people who really lost Baba that election. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, na nyinyi kwanza kabla sijakuja kwa Maina, mkaambia baba tunapanda mlima baba. Mlima ni yako. Tumekupea mlima ni yako. Mara mwisho ulikuwa hapo ulisema mlima ni ya baba. I think I can bring up the footages on you.
I mean,
on you dedicating the mountains.
Wacha nikwambie. Unafaa kuuliza wale uliona kwa presidential team, wale waligazetiwa. Sio mimi. Mimi ukiniuliza nitakupoteza kwa sababu I made a personal decision like any Kenyan.
But the campaign started earlier. You cannot run away now.
No. Just to add, pretty much clear up that, I think it is, for Mount Kenya, it was purely about the Godfathers thing. Because when you saw the people who are in the presidential campaign team, I'm not going to talk about the national leaders. Personally, I will focus on the youth. You know, I would look at some of those young people. No offense. We are not trying to compare ourselves or even try to beat drums for ourselves. But some of those young people that I was seeing who have been put in those campaign teams are people that I have mentored. People that have been under my wings and as early as this year, you know. So you ask yourself, the people who are mentoring those who are being put on those platforms are nowhere to be seen on those particular platforms. Meaning, if you're still under mentorship, and this is just a simple concept, I don't have any problem with any of my mentees who are there, but I'm just saying that it is a simple concept of ask yourselves, even within this youth space, are we just picking the people that are visible? Because the young people today, political young people who are in the political spaces have understood the power of PR. Let me tell you, nobody can wake up from my village in Wodanga Ward somewhere or in Busakami somewhere in Luanda and just invest in a good camera, buy some two, three nice dresses and shorts, and pants, and just, invest in a good makeup artist and get one or two people blogging for her every day, saying how sasa Ruth Ambogo ndio mkana masaa mali safi ya kusema, and then Ruth just needs to make sure she's everywhere where leaders are. Today you see her with Oparanya, tomorrow you see her with Osotsi, the next day you see her with Wetangula, the day after that you see her with Uhuru, the day after, just positioning yourself. Then people now translate that into having a following. My friend, that was me before I joined the campaign. Before I became an aspirant, that was me. But even though I still had a following, to be honest, I'd say, even despite me saying that was me, I still had a following. What kind of following did I have? I was a young person who used to do motivational speeches in high schools, in universities. So these are people who you'd say, if you're asked Ruth Ambogo, ni kina nani wanakufuata? I was a student leader. So you'd say, watu wananifuata ni watu wa Strathmore, watu wa huku, watu wa kule. But most of the people who are placed in that campaign team never held a leadership position anywhere. Never vied for any seat. So hata kusema tu ward yangu iko na voting voters, registered voters 2,000. Aseme niko na watu 2,000. So the mistake they made was picking people who have invested in the art of PR, people who have invested in the art of appearing everywhere with leaders, and therefore people think they have a following. Okay. Next time what needs to happen, and I'm just saying, for me, when I talk about this, I'm not admitting that Raila Odinga lost because of that. No. Raila Odinga won, and that is an argument for after he has spoken, after David has spoken, that is my argument. But the point I'm just trying to put across in terms of strategy, the kind of people who are put in those teams were people who had godfathers and people who invested in the art of PR, when the real people who had the real ground, watu wenye wamewai campaign before, people who young people follow and listen to, people who have had an impact in the community, not just at following and listening to also. Like hata wewe as a young person bitalk, ni nini umefanyia society, unaona? People like us, for instance, we've done scholarship funds that have educated people. So tuko na watu wenye, hata wakikuuliza, ni nani uko na, unaweza sema wale watu 20 wenye nilipatia scholarships ni watu wangu. But hao wengine, ati wanasema wale wasiwana ni like Facebook ndio watu wangu. My friend, people who like you,
I'm not letting Githaiga off the hook still.
Like you on Facebook are not your friends, they are not your followers. You get, ni watu tu wanapenda vile unangara na vile unafanana. Your real followers are people on the ground, people who can do work for you when you are away, people you have assisted through one way or another, people that you have connected with because you are either an aspirant or you have been a ground mobilizer.
Okay. You're not off the hook yet, Githaiga.
Tell me.
The campaign started way earlier. The Azimio campaign didn't start yesterday.
Yes.
Right? When the campaign was launched, it started in 2018 when the handshake was done.
Oh.
And you guys have been on with this. You've been running with this. You cannot tell us that Baba lost in Mount Kenya because we are not gazetted 1 month to an election.
No, not me. I'm not talking about myself.
I'm just saying yes because
it's not 1 month to election.
Because nyinyi mulisema vizuri sana Baba mlima. Ulikuwa hapa ukasema mlima ni ya Baba. Mlima ilienda wapi?
Wacha nikwambie. Na ndio unaona hata vyama mingi zinatoka Azimio zikienda Kenya Kwanza kwa sababu pahali kuna moshi kuna moto. Sasa ama watu wanasema hivyo. Sasa nataka kuelezea ya kwamba mtu kama mimi nilikuwa nimejitolea kama professional. Nisaidie team ya campaign. Mimi ni mtaalamu, nimesomea haya maneno. Nimekuwa hapo mbeleni, hata venye amesema sisi ndio tulisaidia Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kwenye strategy ya youth 2013 na 2017. Lakini shida mingi ikaanza after 2017, mambo ya handshake na nini. Sasa wengine wetu tulikuwa tumepotea, hatuna nyumba, hatuna mahali ya kuenda. Tunajaribu kutafuta ni wapi tunaweza pata msimamo ili tuweze kuwa mahali kesho. Lakini ukapata kazi yetu ile yote tulikuwa tumejitolea na ujuzi yetu kusaidia Baba ilikuwa inaenda patupu. Kwa sababu uko ndani ni vita tu, mtu alikuwa anapigwa. Ni kuvumilia. Dadangu anaweza akakwambia yeye mwenyewe wakati alinipata nimeanzisha kikundi cha vijana na Raila. Na sina aibu yoyote nikisema hivi. I'm not embarrassed. Hata unajua Raila Amolo Odinga amekuwa mwalimu wa William Samoei Ruto. Raila Amolo Odinga ni kiongozi maalum Kenya hii. Kweli ama uongo ndugu yangu? Si ati ni mambo ya uongo. Hiyo imeandikwa kila mahali. Kwa hivyo hata ukiangalia ile margin ile imeshindwa sio kubwa sana. But Kenya najaribu kupoint out uko ndani ndio ilikuwa na kasumba na kasoro. Kwa sababu hata wale watu ambao wamejitolea kusaidia Baba unapigwa ni kama hauko huko. Ndio nikakuja kugundua ya kwamba hiyo nyumba haikuwa ile nyumba nafaa kukua. Na ndio mimi mwenyewe kama Edward Githaiga sikusema nilienda na watu na sikukutafuta nikuje nikuambie. Nilisema wacha uchaguzi uishe, sitaki kuharibu jina ya mtu, sitaki kuharibu jina yangu kwa sababu hata mimi naweza kukuambia ukiwa pande hiyo watu ni kama dictator. Ati huwezi fikiria na njia yako. Hata sasa hivi natusiwa sana. Naambiwa wewe ni msaliti. Wewe ni sijui nini. Kwa sababu ya katiba ya Kenya imenipatia uwezo ya kuchagua political choice, political freedoms, right to participation, right to association. Hiyo mambo ya kusema ati lazima nifanye venye wewe unaniambia, hiyo haiwezi fanya. Nani kila mtu ako na haki. Kama mimi nilikuwa na haki, siri ilikuwa yangu, ule mtu nilipigia kura. Yes, ilikuwa yangu. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu anafaa kunilazimisha. Na kuenda mbele, si tunasema tunaunga mkono serikali ya William Samoei Ruto, the president elect. Na mimi na nyumba yangu. Si hata by the way. Mimi najibebea mzigo yangu. Na hata ni mzigo gani? Kila mtu ako na haki yake bitoka. Kwa sababu nimechoka na hizo swali unaniuliza za kitambo. Mimi nataka tujenge Kenya, tuendelee mbele, tufanye kazi na ile serikali iko na ile imechaguliwa na raia na mambo kama hayo.
Umesikia maneno David?
Huyu ana loyalty.
Weka amekasirika. Anasema hataki maswali ya Azimio.
Azimio mimi nisiulizwe kwa sababu mimi niliondokea huko na nikaandika barua nikawaambia ya kwamba mimi niliondokea.
Unajua
mimi naacha nikwambie afadhali kuongea ukweli patupu. Ndio watu wajue. Unajua ndio venye umesema tulikuwa tumejitolea na nimesema hapo kwa ukweli tulikuwa tumejitolea. Lakini ilifika wakati hata wewe ukicheza kadanda kwenye timu wewe unacheza ule mtu anakuangusha si opponent, ni ule mnafanya na yeye. utaendelea hata kama unalipwa mamilioni ya pesa ati ukishika mpira ule mtu ukienda kufunga ule la kuangusha ni mtu wenyu, hauwezi endelea. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema na mimi ni kama wale wa Kenya wengine pia wameamua ya kwamba mambo ni kuangalia mbele.
Me and my house we shall serve the Lord. David Maina. Nasikia maneno vile iko dunia.
Nasikia hii maneno and
ile kazi yangu ni mzuri. Ile kitu napenda kazi yangu, nimeona watu wengi sana wakiokoka. Watu wanakuanga hivi, nakuwa na mtu leo hii, kesho testimonies. And the Lord is good.
You know, before he told people, musipookoka na maneno yangu, you will go through a baptism of fire. So it's good that people are seeing the light. And in fact, Bitok, a lot of the things that my fellow youths here are mentioning are what William Ruto was saying when he left ODM after the 2007 and 8 debacle. He said that the people who had good ideas in ODM were not allowed to share their ideas. So that if you had a better strategy for winning the election, which William Ruto did have for them at that point, he couldn't be listened to. Because there was a chain of command that is not about merit or any such things. And for me, when I look back at the election period and the campaign in the run-up as well, I believe that this election was won on issues. On issues and issues and issues only. Because William Ruto made a conscious decision very early that we're going to do everything possible to finish tribalism in this country of ours. Because over and above even corruption, tribalism is a problem, because tribalism is the scaffolding on which corruption happens. So that if you have a regime with a leader from a certain community, that's where you'll find the good is going. So if there's a problem in this country and people are fighting, it's along tribal lines. So we decided early on that we're going to focus on the issues, what matters to the people. And if you look at the responses of the people, at the end of the day, Mwananchi went and voted because of his stomach. You know, the problem that we had with the handshake government was that waliguza tumbo ya Mkenya. By the time Kenyans are spending 56% of their income on food, it means that Kenyans cannot feed themselves. A family that is operating with a daily income of 200, 300 shillings cannot afford pads for 70 bob for their teenage daughter to go to school. So these are some of the things that Kenya Kwanza went and addressed. And in fact, it was not just at the national level that we were talking about bottom-up. Bottom-up had already been implemented, even at county levels. Let me give an example of the model bottom-up county as I see it, Kirinyaga County. I think you remember Bitok, a time when everybody was trying to define what bottom-up was in this country. And there was one person who came and did it brilliantly. That was Anne Waiguru.
Anne Waiguru, she was here on the show.
Yeah, and the reason for this was because she had a program in Kirinyaga called Wezesha Kirinyaga. She began as soon as she was elected. Nobody needed to tell her to do bottom-up. She went, did her research, and used her previous experience as an administrator to figure out how to help her people. And the crux of her campaign of her program, Wezesha Kirinyaga, was agriculture. So she empowered people with poultry, she empowered people with fish, she empowered people with bees. She had an ambitious program of producing 1 million eggs per year in Kirinyaga, so that a family would have an income of 1,000 shillings and not just 200 or 300. So people could push their lives with that. So when Anne Waiguru was explaining bottom-up, she's talking about the work she was doing on the ground. Yeah. When we're talking about empowering the youth, empowering hustlers, she was doing the same thing. Anne Waiguru is surrounded by women and youth today. If you want to see her today, lazima ongeleshe vijana. If there's a project you want, you have to go through the youth. Yeah, so these are things that are already happening at the county level and in different kind of constituencies. For example, Kiharu, Ndindinyoro was doing the same thing. So you can find that bottom-up was already taking place in some of our counties, some of our best performing strongholds. And this is what we went to give at a national level. So the people really connected with those issues. And it also did not hurt us that, we had so many challenges throughout. Because at first we had this understanding that Uhuru would do his 10 years and Ruto would do his 10 years. And this was not a thing between Uhuru and Raila. This was a thing between the elders of Mount Kenya and the elders of Rift Valley. Because whenever there's a problem in this country, we find that the nexus of that problem is between these two communities. So they came together and decided that rather than fight over these skirmishes every elections, let's support each other and see what happens. And that's where Uhuru's first term came from. So when it came to time to, support his brother, William Ruto, different ideas, prevailed. There was a handshake. Raila Odinga came into government. In effect, the people of Mount Kenya, 8 million people who had voted, were taken to the opposition. We did not have a home in the government anymore. cabinet meetings stopped. For 2 years, this country was run without any cabinet meetings. And basically from admissions of Raila Odinga, he's been telling us that he was advising the president. So even our economic decisions during that period can be chalked down to the handshake brothers. And what resulted was an impoverishment of Kenyans to the tune of 62%. Around 62% of Kenyans now are below the poverty line. And these are the issues that really got us through the election. And when I hear my fellow youths complaining about being sidelined and not being listened to and being attacked in their own party, I really feel for you guys, and my heart goes out to you. And this is because I know Ruth Ambogo and her background. Yeah, if there's any youth I know in Kenya who understands the IT systems and the electoral processes as relates to IEBC, even with experience from 2017, it is Ruth Ambogo. Yeah, she can explain these things better than anyone. She's a governance expert. I want to ask you, Ruth Ambogo, tafadhali usikende opposition. You're a governance expert. Use your background. Yeah. Yeah. And my brother Edward here. Yeah, he's the chairman of VIJANA Rao, I believe. Former chairman of VIJANA Rao. I think I saw you on Citizen one time, yeah? And it was only for Azimio youths. They did not invite Kenya Kwanza that day. But I heard Edward talking about something that we were doing in VIJANA na KAZI. You see, we've been following the American elections and looking for lessons that we can apply here in Kenya. So for me, what I realized was that Barack Obama's 2008 campaign was a groundbreaking campaign for America and the world at large. And they wrote a book called The Trailblazers, which was like a campaign manual based on what they did in the elections. That is what they used again in 2012 to get out the vote and to organize everything. Do you know that strategy was so effective? Trump used it in 2016 and 2020. The mobilization Trump did on the ground in 2020 has never been seen in America before, based on Barack Obama's work. And guess what? Edward discussed those things on that interview. And he outlined that he needs a volunteer system in the entire country, yeah, down to the ward level, where people would coordinate all these things, make sure that the party's things are running properly, the logistics are on point, everybody's a hard worker and they're working around the clock. And I'm telling you today, Bitok, without fear of contradiction, that if Azimio had listened to Edward and to Ruth, they'd have given us a serious run for our money. Because on one hand, they'd be prepared for what's happening with election day, tallying centers and such. And on the other hand, they would have a network of volunteers who would use that system properly. Yeah, it was their election to lose. And how did they lose it? By losing sight of the fact that 75% of this country is under the age of 35. That is where they lost this election. They were listening to old men saying, sisi ndio kusema vijana hawezi ongoza. On our other side, yeah, William Ruto's presidential campaign had 100,000 people. 75% of those people were the youth. Yeah, the tallying center, because the media were invited, I'm sure Bitok you saw on TV, it was entirely the youth. And these are the people who are coordinating the agents, just exactly as these guys suggested. Yeah, the IT, the everything. The ideas that they give are the ones we were using. Yeah, the youth are exposed nowadays. If we only give them a chance, yeah, this is what's going to happen. So you see, they're even saying, we had the ideas. Yeah, and this is why we say Kenya Kwanza is the alliance of the willing.
No, Bitok, I want to come
in. Even before you come in,
yes.
Ruth, there's something I want to bring out.
Yes.
I find it very interesting that you guys are admitting that there were grave mistakes in the Azimio campaign, and it's clearly pointing into how it went wrong. Clearly, and how it went wrong is how the elections were lost. But again, with all the mistakes that you're saying were in Azimio, you, Ruth, you're still insisting that kura ilibiwa.
That is exactly the point I'm coming to.
Wewe umekubali kusua inosoti na hiyo IEBC moja.
Watch.
Where's the line?
Let me get to the bottom of this. Okay. You see, very an election, briefly. First of all, unasema, first of all, let me address the issue of the fact that an IEBC might have compromised the elections, in my opinion, and it is the case, by the way, it was the case. But then I would still say that Ososi needs to be sworn in. You see, an election can be messed up at one level, and at another level, the election is done well. Or it can be messed up at all levels, but even at the level of the senatorial, when they attempted to mess it up, we, the rightful winners, did everything that we could to protect our vote. You get? And that is where the Raila win and my argument for Raila winning comes in the sense that the election was messed up and a rightful winner was denied their victory. Now, the mistakes that we are pointing out are the mistakes that would give an explanation as to why we, the rightful winners, were not announced. You get? Like, for instance, basically what I'm saying is that you are in a race or you are in you are in a, I don't know what kind of race I can try and give an example of that would bring this point home. Let me just focus on the elections. That the elections for me, if you ask me in terms of the numbers of people who voted for Raila Odinga, the truth of the matter is that the number of people who voted for Raila Odinga are more than the number of people who voted for William Ruto. If you just look at regional balance in terms of the support that these people accorded the various candidates, the truth of the matter is that Raila Odinga got higher votes than William Ruto. Now, what William Ruto did to now eventually end up being declared as a winner is that he took advantage of the weaknesses in the team. A team can be weak. The coordination of a team can be weak, but the candidate is strong and the candidate ends up winning an election. But because of these weaknesses, your opponent takes advantage of the weaknesses and infiltrates the system, does everything that he does, including buying off critical IEBC officials and eventually winning the vote. We all witnessed what happened. For instance, I want to talk about Central Kenya. Central Kenya during the elections, Mount Kenya during the elections, we saw on media. And in fact, I hope that the legal team of Azimio gets to produce as part of its evidence media coverage, the media coverage that was being shown within Central Kenya. The fact that I usually give this example very passionately to explain one of the reasons why I genuinely believe that Raila Odinga won the vote, Kirinyaga County. The day of the elections, we saw media covering Kirinyaga County, and clearly there were no people on the lines. There were no people on the lines. And it is not just media. Even people from those areas were complaining. I saw a viral TikTok video of a young man saying, Bana mko wapi? In 2017, hii barabara ilikuwa imejaa. Watu walikuwa wamekumira to vote. But where are you guys now? Come out and vote. And that was like at around 9 a.m. So if you just go by the media coverage of Central Kenya and how there were literally no numbers, and in fact, the governor now for Kirinyaga County, Anne Waiguru herself, when she was interviewed, she said the following words. She was asked, hey, come on, how come your people are not coming out to vote this time round? Her answers were that, it is the planting season in Central Kenya. Watu wameamka kwenda kulima. And in fact, it is very cold. People did not feel like coming out to vote. And then for her to end up winning with over 100,000 votes, and her opponent, number 2, comes again, number 2, with over another 100,000 votes. And I'm sure number 3 had like 50,000 votes, which translates to almost an 85-70% turnout in Central Kenya, where it was clear and evident that people did not turn out to vote, is one of the reasons that I would use to base my argument that Raila Odinga actually won. And also, I wonder where David gets the argument that, William Ruto won based on young people's support. My friend, let's be honest. Voter turnout for the youth was like 35%. It was like 35%. And the youth who voted, most of them did not come from William Ruto's strongholds. The 35% of the youth who voted, majority of them were coming from the Raila Odinga support base, because they were saying, finally, it is our chance to actually get into power. And so we are going to vote. Look at how young people turned out in Kisumu. Watu walikuwa wanatoka kwa lines kama wamejifunga towel, Like it was, of course, for some of it was theatrical. But the truth of the matter is that in Nyanza, in Western Kenya, young people came out to vote in large numbers. Vihiga County, that is known for young people not really voting. Wase walikuwa na come out wakisema, this time round, wacha tupatie baba ikura. You get? In Kakamega, where we had 10 MPs from ODM out of the 12, some of these things just require simple logic. So come to Western, kuja Kakamega. Nongoja bitok, nasikia
I'm trying to get where the numbers are.
Kuna story kengine kazuri katamu, ati munasema, you're using our weaknesses to try and justify
you are the ones who talked about it.
No, listen, David, let me finish. Allow me to finish. UDA is banking on a lot of young people who are coming out from Azimio, who are talking about the weaknesses they had in their team to justify their win. When in reality, even in UDA, there were weaknesses, guys. There were places where agents were not paid. There were places where, a lot of things happened. You cannot come here and lie to us that the UDA campaign was 150% perfect. No, you had your own weaknesses. So what you're doing is that because you have been declared winners through a process that was was faulty by an IEBC official that was bought by you guys. Now you can say, guys, let's cover our own house and make everybody believe that we actually won. And this is a message to Raila Odinga supporters, that even if the likes of Eduardo GITHAIGA here, who are strong supporters of Raila, finally say, oh, you know, I'm crossing over to William Ruto, and give very strong reasons, kindly don't listen to him. Remember, politics is about interest. Somebody like GITHAIGA, yeye anaenda kwa Ruto kwa sababu anaona this is the government of the moment. I can promise you, if the elections are repeated today and Raila Odinga is declared, GITHAIGA will be the first person. Yeye kwanza ndiye atapata VIP invite. Yes, swearing in ya Raila. I'm telling you.
Ruth, okay.
I am telling
as
you.
You wrap up that, as you wrap up, you said Baba won. Baba won.
Baba won.
Baba won.
Baba won. What happened is...
How many votes?
No, listen to me.
Forget
Listen
the story.
to me.
How many votes?
The thing about Baba winning and how many votes is irrelevant right now. Because why?
Okay.
Why it is irrelevant is it was evident that part of UDA people, we saw them, infiltrated systems, hacked servers. And these are not things, these are not theories. These are admissions that were done even by media houses whose servers were hacked. You know? It is evident that people like Gladys Boss-Sholay, oh my God, I had a lot of respect for that woman. The kind of nonsense she was doing at Bomas, you know, and it was not just nonsense. It was nonsense that was related to them, you know, to them interfering with the electoral system. So we must be honest with ourselves that as we admit that there were weaknesses in the Azimio team, as we admit that there were weaknesses in the Azimio team, UDA also needs to come out and be honest about their weaknesses. But the truth of the matter is that Raila actually won. When you look at the regional balance, forget about numbers. Because you see, once the numbers have already been manipulated, it stops becoming about numbers and it becomes about how the process was infiltrated.
But who hacked your numbers?
To begin with, no, even just let us just start from the word go. And I like the fact that David said he used to listen to some of my interviews and some of my ideas, and even the things I was saying, he was like, he wishes Azimio listens to them. Some of the things that I kept saying before the elections is that I kept saying that the confidence, my confidence in IEBC was not at 100%. And anytime I would appear on media houses debating with UDA guys, they would come up with this out of nowhere confidence about the IEBC. In fact, I was like, hey, you guys know. I mean, it cannot be that everybody in the country seems to be seeing that indeed, not even seeing that the fact speaks for themselves, that number one, you have an IEBC where the chairperson during the day when ballot papers are coming to the country admits that, the CEO says, me, I knew they were coming. Before elections, unasikia mambo za sijui printing of extra from 34Bs. Before elections, you hear stories such as the allegations that some Venezuelans wameingia kwa country. And these are issues that UDA would want us to turn a blind eye to forget that these things actually happened, when in reality, at the end of the day, the numbers that came out that declared William Ruto the winner are as a result of these faulty processes within IEBC that led to them winning. So it is not about the weaknesses in our team, because even UDA had weaknesses in their team. It is about the referee of these elections and how they bungled the elections, evidently. I mean, even at Bomas of Kenya, why did they kick out people? Remember, at the end of the day, we are talking about transparency. Transparency means that if we have agents, if our agents are our politicians, if our observers are our politicians, allow them to be part of the process. If there is chaos, resolve the chaos, bring in security, but allow people to see what is happening. So personally, even if I was not in ODM, even if I was not supporting Raila Odinga, for example, ningekuwa Safina ya Jimmy Wanjigi, my friend, I would still stand and say that election was not free, it was not fair, it was not transparent. And for anybody who is looking at Raila Odinga and telling him, oh, you know, it is about, I've even seen one of the commentators saying, you know, it is always best to leave the arena when the clap is loudest. Leave the arena when the clap is loudest and your victory has been stolen. When I hear people saying things such as, oh, you know, we are used to him going to court, we need him to get out of court. So are we Kenyans, have we gotten to a point where we are saying that, look, what is rightfully yours can be taken away from you, but simply because, you know, we need to have a peaceful country, we need to move forward, that you should not fight for your rights. The precedents that we are setting,
I would like to bring you back.
Let me just finish. The precedent that we are setting with such arguments is a precedent that will boil down to the ordinary mwananchi. In what sense? That at one point, It will not even have to be about elections. It will just have to be a simple land case where mimi tu nikamtu tu kadogo, like I am Ruth Ambogo, and then there is a neighbor of mine who is a government official, and there's land that my parents have left to me, and he just comes and walks in and takes it, and then because Ruth, you need to be peaceful and you need to maintain your dignity as Ruth Ambogo because you've had a good history of fighting for the people, so don't fight for your rights.
In 5 seconds, Ruth, in 5 seconds, you are a lawyer.
Tell me.
You alleges must prove.
Of course.
Our elections won. Numbers, right? There's something I struggle with.
No, you see.
I'm trying to bring it out.
Yes.
You're saying you claim the Baba won. Which facts are you using to claim?
I am
because
actually,
you need to give
I
us,
like the fact that
you
have brought
dismiss,
up.
You cannot dismiss certain numbers without giving us alternative numbers.
I like the fact that the fact that you have said that I am a lawyer, and I know that, and also the fact that elections are won on the basis of numbers.
Okay.
But I want to ask you.
No, give me the numbers.
I want talk. I want to ask you if numbers have been manipulated.
So
there is no way of coming to a number and
say,
there is no way of coming to a figure and saying that we won with these figures. Even the person who has been declared a winner cannot rightfully say that those figures were
so
theirs.
You don't have the figures.
Now, as a lawyer, I will give you the legal position.
Okay. Do you have the numbers?
I'm giving you the legal position, Bitok. Listen to me. Tafadhali, nisikize. You were present in 2017. You were present in 2017 when the Supreme Court petition was finally decided upon. Justice Maraga's final words that led to the annulment of the elections, he said that this election is hereby nullified on the basis that the process must be as good as the outcome. That the process of an election is as important as the outcome of an election. And this is something that UDA guys don't want to listen to. And I want to tell them that, look, in fact, that was the precedent that was set, first of its kind globally, that in any election, we don't look at the numbers you have gotten at the end of the day. We ask ourselves, did the process lead up to those particular numbers? Because if we look at the numbers, then ignore the process, then we would be saying the process that interfered with the numbers does not matter.
You have a problem with the process?
I have a problem with the process.
All right.
And the process leads to the numbers that are faulty.
Okay.
In the sense that the numbers that William Ruto got are not the numbers that he ought to have gotten.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yes.
Nonib says, I tell Ruth I would totally marry her if I didn't have a husband. Passion and energy is awesome. All right, guys, I want us to take this conversation to the basic level of... Okay, I don't know if you have a rejoinder. But
yes, I had a rejoinder.
I want to get the numbers.
I had a rejoinder. Quick rejoinder of what my sister Ruth said here. For me, as GITHAIGA, I believe in working on the right side of life. And nothing will ever take me back there. Because we're always told a leader is as good as his team. Okay? For me, going back to Azimio, or even if I don't know what illusion will happen or what magic she's talking about, that the election will be overturned and someone else will be elected, which I don't believe will be the case, because Wajakoya already accepted, Mwaura already accepted, Kenyans have accepted. So I believe it's all about moving forward. And in a race, there's always a winner and a loser. And in this case, I wasn't running for the election. It was someone else. So I believe that we need to move forward. But on the side of numbers, and I really I've seen a comment here where somebody has mentioned George Njoroge, the CEO of it's called East Africa Data Handlers. This gentleman owns a company that has data. Why didn't he give his company and his data company to Raila Odinga Secretariat to manage for them all these things we're talking about? Because in the end of the day, there's something that we always say called, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this is exactly what happened. So it is very embarrassing for someone like George Caliber to come on TV and say that how does a JPEG become a PDF? First of all, we have to look at this fact. The gadget that was taking the photo was a Kim's kit. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? That is not a normal gadget. It can take a scan rather than a photograph. And once it takes a scan, it becomes a PDF. The George and his knowledge and his experience in IT, he's probably thinking of the mobile phone, like the normal mobile phone, whereby you take a photo. But with, and I stand corrected by IEBC experts about the equipment, because if the photo was being taken by that Kim's kit that was under the PO's management, then it is easy for that to end up as a PDF, because it could have been a scan. And you are aware of that as well. You know that technology. So it's high time that we allow the Supreme Court right now where we are to be the guardian of giving us the numbers and understanding what went wrong or what went right on the other side. Because we may look at it as that side, it's always easy to blame and say, like Ruth is saying, oh, you know, you DA this, you DA that. But it's like also Ruth is playing catch up a bit, because UDA was much more organized and they had a good plan. Yeah.
So who won this election according to VIJANA?
It's clear and simple. It was won by William Samoei Ruto.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Enda?
You've asked about numbers, and you've been told about JPEGs, about servers and other kinds of things. You see, whenever we have an election in this country and somebody loses and the only thing they have left is their voice, then they use their voice to muddy the waters. So for the people who are asking about the issues that are going on in court, then the numbers are very simple, yeah? And this thing starts on July 29th. On July 29th, the media reported that IEBC plus all the stakeholders, including Azimio, had agreed that they would use the 34A booklet as the repository of the final tally of votes from each of the polling stations. They all agreed. Then we went forward. Now let's stick to the numbers, yeah? 14.2 million people voted. That is a fact that nobody is disputing. And 14.2 million people voted at 46,229 polling centers. That is a fact. All these 34As had been filled and signed by agents from all parties by Tuesday at 10 p.m. That is a fact. And they had been uploaded. After that, they were verified at Bomas. And some of them were even read by Cherara, a.k.a. Madam Opek. That is a fact. Now, after they were counted, they were announced constituency by constituency. Yeah, you remember Madam Opek was trying to remove Ruto's votes here and there, but it was all, regularized. Yeah. So far it was all right up until the point of the final announcement. Because the media also went and did their tallies. But at some point, I don't know what happened in the media houses, they stopped tallying altogether. And then when we're back to numbers again in Azimio, there's a very fishy number that Azimio put out, 51.8%. And they said that this was based on numbers from, I don't know, their agents. So they tell us they didn't have agents, but they also had agents who went and told them that they had won by 51.8%. Back to the numbers. The standard, and we've seen the standard has been supporting all through. They did their own tally and put out a social media message that they had 50.5% going to William Ruto. Then they deleted that and said they've not finished counting. Yeah. So when it comes to the numbers, those are the numbers, and the final numbers were 7.1 million for William Ruto, 6.9 million for Raila Odinga. We had 50.5% as the final vote. Up until that point, there is no contest whatsoever. And in fact, not Azimio, but ODM had taken us to court in 2017. And that's where the MAINA case said that the Form 34A at the polling station is the final election result. If you have a problem, carry your 34A and bring an error report from your agent and take it to court. That is the case. So when they come to talk about media servers or hacked, I don't know, Ruth, whether you can explain to Kenyans what a server is. Because Kenyans, don't know what a server is. Yeah. So what is a server being hacked? What we were using this time round was a public portal. So every Kenyan could go and check where I voted. Personally, I voted somewhere and in polling station number 2, the second stream. So I went and checked what had happened, and it was consistent with what I had imagined would happen. I had seen those long lines in the morning, but they were not as long as 2017. But we talk again, the reason why we're having low turnout in this election is 2 reasons. Number 1, we did not prioritize youth issues according to the youth. So you might find that we have very, very strong ideas, but on a youth's, pain points, it's probably number 10 on what he's thinking about. And number 2, the turnout was low because there was no heat like that one of 2007 and 2013. In 2007, it looked like the country was going to burn. Yeah. So everybody came out, and it was a very tribal election. There were some people talking about 41 against 1. There are people who are saying that, we should prioritize peace. But it happened the way it happened. In 2013, now it came back again with the tyranny of numbers and people thinking that now this was going to be the real war. And that turnout was very, very high. 2017, the same. But if you look at this turnout and the elections before 2007, it's the same. Yeah, in 92, the turnout is roughly the same. So this is actually the peacetime turnout in Kenya. Yeah, so I don't think it has anything to do with the teams were not out there enough. And we won this thing on issues, and that's the fact. Because if you think about why Raila Odinga did not win, the real actual reason he did not win was down to numbers. Bitoke, it was on this show where it was said that 2 out of 6 people in Luo Nyanza were relating to William Ruto's economic message. It was said right here on this show. Yeah. Yet, on the election day, 600,000 registered voters in Luo Nyanza stayed home, did not vote for Raila Odinga. That's 2 out of 6 because in Nyanza, I think it's about 1.8 million registered voters. Just the data that was presented that people refused to listen to, that's what played out eventually. If you look at Mombasa, because, the port issue and everything else, and people felt that the next incoming governor was going to continue Joho's agenda, so they're not going to get their port back. And that's why we saw 44% turnout in Mombasa County, another Raila Odinga stronghold. So they failed on the message, they failed on the organization. Even against all the odds that we faced as UDA and Kenya Kwanza, we made sure that when it came to organization, we did it well. And I want to reiterate again, that if these 2 youths were listened to in Azimio, if they used the recommendations of these 2 people, you don't even need that company you're talking about. Just you. If you were told, figure out this situation here, bring your youths, you would have figured that situation out. You would have a tallying center we'd be talking about. But it didn't happen.
Right. I'm going to open Bunge in 5 minutes. But before we go to Bunge, Mombasa County and Kakamega County goes to the vote today on the 29th of August 2022 to vote in or vote out their governors. We're having Malala versus Fernandez in Kakamega, and we're having Hassan Omar in Mombasa versus, what's the name of these gentlemen?
Abdul
Samad. That's it. Right. Yes, so what do we expect? What is likely to happen there?
I have been following the Kakamega campaigns very closely, partly because Kakamega is literally 20 minutes away from Vihiga, and also because I have friends in both camps. Some of those aspirants are people that I have worked with. For instance, Malala is someone I've worked with very closely in a movement called Mulembe Youth Movement, and he has partly mentored me in politics. Last election, by-election at Matungu, I was with him on the campaign trail, and we delivered the vote. Once again, we delivered the vote by literally being on the campaign trail, and the last day of the campaign trail, last 2-3 days, our messaging was very strong. I'd say for the both of us, myself and him, our messaging was very, very strong, and we got out the vote. So, and I've also had access to people who are in Fernande Baraza's campaign, and I was even there on the ground. Which day was this? I think it was Saturday. Saturday, I was on the ground. Friday, I was on the ground. Just the last day of the campaigns, just to see what is happening and see if I could contribute. And I tell you, it is a close race. Very close race. Close in what sense? Here you have first I'll analyze the ODM side. You have a candidate who first of all was picked on the basis of the idea that a county needs a manager, not a politician. And the party picked him using that basis because Oparanya, they wanted somebody who was like an Oparanya to replace Oparanya, And the other side picked a politician who is also who was picked on the basis of he's an effective politician. He has delivered votes before, not just for his own campaigns, but for other by-elections, and based on how his strengths as an individual and how he can move masses. So on this side, you have a corporate candidate. But then when they started off on the ground, of course, they started off well because ODM, I will always repeat this again and again at whatever chance given. Kakamega is an ODM zone. Let's not even have a discussion about that. In these elections, they voted, I think 84% of the vote was given to Raila Odinga. And then they had 10 MPs out of 12 who are coming from ODM. And then they had, and the one independent is ODM allied because he was independent because he lost the ODM, he became an independent candidate because he lost the ODM nominations. And then they had 48 ODM MCAs. Forget about Azimio. ODM MCAs, 48 out of 60. That is, you have not included the DAP and the other related parties that also had MCAs. So generally speaking, Kakamega is locked for ODM. But then now that would make one believe that Fernandez would deliver the vote. But when you look at when it came to the ground, now you as a person, you know, there's the party and then there's now you as a person. I'd give an example of what happened. Was it in Meru or Embu, where the woman won as an independent candidate, where yes, UDA was the party, but she as the person was what people wanted. So that would be the argument that I would make for Cleophas Malala, that he is a person who, despite his party being a minority, he is loved, genuinely loved by the people. Loved in what sense? When you look at the youth population that, first of all, I'd almost want to say with absolute guarantee that 90% of the youth in Kakamega will vote for Malala. Why? Because he established in 2018 the Super Cup. It is usually the biggest event in the country at the end of the year. And it has been held every year since then. And it's not just an event where people just come and it is an event where young people who are playing the games have been get paid, so that is youth empowerment. The officials of the games get paid, that is empowerment, pesa kwa mfuko. The vendors during those campaigns get paid. The event suppliers get paid, So all those people, you can imagine, 100 guaranteed that they will vote for him. And then second, because of his political acumen, he is a smart politician. That is a politician that I don't know why Azimio never took advantage and had him on our side, because I'm telling you, he is a smart politician. I have worked with him. His ways are not, you will never predict his next move, and he also does what I see UDA do. He listens to the young people. His campaign team is 99% young people. If there's an old person in his campaign team, labda huyo ni financier, ama ni mtu wa kumuombea ashinde kura. You get pastor. So, and you see these young people, one would say, oh yeah, but there's a huge voting population block in Kakamega who are the elderly. Yes, kuna elderly people who are in Kakamega, but this youth are so effective at their job, they manage to convince even the elders to vote. Just like myself, in Vihiga, I managed to convince elders to vote for Raila. So on that basis, I would also come back now to the present happenings, where you have the entire ODM is camped in Kakamega. And so one would want to imagine that the appeal that Kakamegans had when they were voting for Raila would be the same appeal that he would transfer to them to vote for Fernandez. But on the other hand, William Ruto amemwaga pesa. Amemwaga pesa. Yesterday and the day before yesterday. You know me, I'm talking about facts. And people don't like to hear facts. Your people, David, these past 2 days, they have poured money.
Do you have numbers or it's like
that? No, forget about numbers. Watch any numbers, you people. When money has been poured. Like seriously poured, yeah? It's the same thing they tried in Vihiga. The day before the elections, the Saturday before Tuesday. Walikuwa wanaambia watu, everybody should be at their polling station where you will vote and come with proof that you are a voter here.
So you said it's for audience. So it's here in the audience.
So what I'm saying is that based on these factors that I have put out, it is hard to tell who will win.
Hi, Mombasa. Very quickly.
Watu wa Mombasa wanaweza ongelea mambo ya Mombasa.
No, in other news, now before you leave Kakamega, in other news, ODM's Governor Oparanya has endorsed Malala.
Hiyo ni propaganda, you know that.
Are you sure?
No, I mean, you know why I would qualify that as propaganda? It's because Oparanya is the one who is in charge of ODM in Western.
Is this
also
propaganda?
Because wachana na hiyo maneno, fake profiles. A fake profile can be created. You know what happens?
This is a verified page for Oparanya.
Let me tell you.
Okay, just give it to Ruth.
Let me tell you.
For avoidance of doubt.
Roger, a verified account. Let me show you. First of all,
for avoidance of doubt.
I want to prove to you that this is not Governor Oparanya's account. And you know how I will prove to you that it is not? First of all, what would make me tell you that this is not Governor Oparanya's account is that this could be an account run by somebody from Goja.
Have you seen the verification
from I see the verification. Yes, I see the verification.
So a fake page was
Oparanya cannot endorse Malala because Oparanya, first of all, he's the head of Western campaign. Ya Baba. He's actually at a minus campaign. Yeye ndiye anakuanga point person wa Baba. Uko wapi? Western. And then he remember he has been promised that if Baba becomes president, and remember there's still a case going on, he's going to be the Minister of Finance. So how I would qualify this? Number one, it is either not Oparanya's account, somebody's verified account whose name has been changed.
Take time and go through it. Take time and go through the page.
Whose name has been changed to Oparanya's name. Number two, there's another explanation. Hacking. Even my own Facebook account has been hacked several times. And then also remember, and then skiza tena. The other reason why I would tell you this is not Oparanya's words is because remember, it is not Oparanya who goes to Facebook, his phone, and makes updates. Akona team. So
team yake imeamua ndio Malala.
One team member has been compromised.
Okay. Meanwhile, try and go through the page. Meanwhile, as we're giving through GITHAIGA.
I wanted to point out that with the two counties, for Kakamega, I may not be a person who is very vast with the Western politics, but the little knowledge I have, I know it's going to be a very tight race. Yeah. And it seems to me, even going by what my sister is saying, Malala has he might win this. His chances are very high. Going by the influence that now we have of the two brothers from Western who are in UDA, this is Honorable Musalia Mudavadi and Honorable Senator Wetangula. And obviously, you can clearly see, while the other team is focused on the court issues and focused on forensic investigations, which I wanted to point out a bit, but if you'll give me a chance later. This other team is actually now implementing the same plan they had, which was getting out the vote, and also the system of receiving from the polling stations the results as they come in, because you have to keep track. And I hope Azimio has learned from the main election that if you don't know your data as it stands real time, then I don't know what you're adding up or what you're tallying. So I think Kakamega will favor UDA. It looks very highly likely.
Not UDA,
yes.
ANC.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Kenya Kwanza.
Kenya Kwanza, yeah? Kenya Kwanza. Okay, and then for Mombasa also, you can clearly see, like, for the first time, the numbers that William Ruto got in Mombasa were much higher than Kilifi and much higher than Kwale and the other areas. And you can see that being a cosmopolitan area, there is quite a number of people who are going to vote for Hassan Omar. Okay. And this is a fact. And you can even see that the issue of the project factor is really a damaging factor within the Azimio team. The UDA and the Kenya Kwanza have been able to sell a project idea to the Mwananchi, and pointing out things like the port of Mombasa, very pertinent things to people of Mombasa, where they are being told that, or they believe that the port of Mombasa was moved to Naivasha, or even extensively, the Dongo Kundu development project and the expansion of the port has been privatized, and various individuals have been mentioned to be part of that mess up. Then you can clearly see that the common Mwananchi in Mombasa is likely to vote for a Kenya Kwanza candidate because of the connection that they are building with these people, because Kenya Kwanza comes out as the fighter of the Mwananchi, while the other one comes out as a project. And with all due respect with Abdul Swamad, he's done quite a lot of work while he was in Movita as the MP for several terms. But Hassan Omar has run for this seat before. Okay. Hassan Omar has been the senator of Mombasa before. And looking at the team, and I say the leader is as good as the team he has. When you add Mike Mbuvi Sonko on that equation, and remember the impact he had created when he had the Kalonzo on his side and they moved down to the coast, that impact is still there, right? I haven't seen anything that has come from Azimio to challenge Mike Mbuvi Sonko's ground on the ground. Because like now you can see even in other areas they're saying Joho is missing in action. He's not anywhere to be seen. So such kind of blunders and lack of focus in Azimio will see that Kenya Kwanza will take home victory in both of the counties.
All right.
Yeah.
Maina, what do you expect?
Let me start by looking at Kakamega, yeah? And there's no way we can divorce these two elections from what has been happening in the last, say, 4 years, yeah, even before 4 years. When Raila Odinga started negotiating with Uhuru Kenyatta, the Luhya community suffered in terms of their leadership. The first casualty, maybe there was another one you can remind me, but the first casualty was a youth by the name of Rashid Echesa. Rashid Echesa was fired for reasons unknown until this day. When Uhuru has previously fired people, he told you that it was corruption. For example, Ngilu was corrupt when she was Lance, yes, and she was fired, and we were given those reasons. Rashid Echesa was fired without any good reasons. So today, the only explanation that we have in any kind of way is that he had said some things about Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga put his head on a block and chopped it. In order for ODM to have space in parliament, they went and decapitated Luhya leadership in the house. Washiali was sent home, yeah, and he had worked for Jubilee and he had done such a great job for them, and that's what happened to him. Ababu Namwamba, yeah, when he exercised his right to participate in our democracy, the same way as the ICTCS, the same way as Matiang'i and the rest when they choose to participate in Azimio. When Ababu Namwamba decided to help Kenya Kwanza, they fired him. We were told that there's a resignation, but we all know what that means. When we look at the history of Raila Odinga, when he's been running for elections, he's been helped by Musalia, he's been helped by Wetangula. If you remember 2017, Musalia was the strongest voice talking about ODM issues. Yeah, these guys were given nothing. They were not even allowed to have a copy of the coalition agreement. They left there and came to Kenya Kwanza. And now, as we speak this morning, Oparanya is endorsing Malala. And Malala, who is also another victim of Azimio. You remember how they treated him, they arrested him, they drove him around the country. You know, they really tortured Malala. Yeah. So if I look at the Luhya community, the question I would ask is, if the Odinga family has kept Luo Nyanza confined to the opposition for 60 years, why would you want to continue following these people? There's already a government in power today, and it's headed by William Samoei Ruto. That's the president of this country. Why would the people, the Luhya people, follow Raila Odinga, who has sacrificed their own leaders and kept his own people in the opposition for 60 years? There's no reason whatsoever to follow that. For Kakamega, this thing is out there. I think we're going to see a very, very challenging election, but we'll see what happens. For Mombasa, again on the issues, Joho has left 4.2 billion shillings in pending bills. They had the money to pay this. We don't know where that money is, and he's underground as we speak. It's not a secret that Abdul Swamad is his project. True indeed that Abdul Swamad did a very good job for the people of Mombasa. But, you know, kutangulia sio kumaliza. How he's finishing is a problem. Kenya Kwanza, William Ruto promised to give 1 million acres to the squatters in Coast. And he did this in order to redress the historical land injustice that has been there all through. Raila Odinga went into the handshake and vehemently fought that proposal to give people 1 million acres. That is truly their own land. And Raila's excuse was that, hizi mashamba iligawa 1965 na mzungu. Wewe ulikuwa wapi watu kupea mashamba? Wewe kaa hivyo hivyo. Yeah? How can you talk to the people like that? So all those squatters have a reason either to vote for Kenya Kwanza or not to vote at all. And if you look at the turnout, because in addition to coordinating with our agents and making sure that we had information that we could cross-check from everywhere, we were also checking the turnout in real time. Yeah, and in addition to getting what percentage of people were coming out, we also are looking at the proportion of Bara voters to Coast voters. Yeah, and Bara voters are the ones who turned out because Coast voters were not inspired by Raila Odinga. And I want to tell you, Bitok, that after Raila Odinga's behavior since he lost, I'm telling you, he's lost even more ground, because even his supporters now realize that in a free, fair, transparent election that has been verified on every corner of this planet, it's not a small thing for Israel to congratulate you. Israel does this based on intelligence, Mossad. When Trump and Biden faced off in 2020, Trump had moved the embassy of the US in Israel to Jerusalem. For 50 years, American presidents had been running on that promise. Nobody did it. Trump did it against everybody's, better advice. And they loved him and said that he's going to be a great figure in Israeli history. But the day he lost to Biden, Israel was the first country to congratulate him. I want to ask you again, Bitok, Russia congratulated William Ruto. Russia has the FSB, which is modern-day KGB. These are people who understand what's going on the ground. These are people who can smell power from a different continent. For them to endorse William Samoei Ruto, they know that William Samoei Ruto ni mamba iko ndani ya maji when he has that certificate. Yeah, nothing is going to change. Yeah, so they know this. This is a fact, and that's how it's going to be. So even the voters of Mombasa right now are asking themselves, if we continue supporting Azimio, where we lost our ports, where we lost our port functions, when you have those two gone, how are you going to employ the youth in Mombasa? It's impossible. Yeah. So right now, the youth of Mombasa, I want to ask you and urge you, do not go into the opposition. This guy, when he went to the handshake, did he call anybody? No. He calls people when it's time for them to lay down their lives, threatening the court and other such things. But when it's time for his handshake, he goes alone. He leaves everybody at home, yeah? Mchezea hiyo kadi hata yeye aliwachezea. Muache mzee aende opposition, vijana ingieni ruling government. We've been saying that it's time for the youth to lead. There is no leadership for the youth in Azimio. Join the government, give us those good ideas that you have, and let's move forward, because you can see clearly that UDA is a party that values the youth. Hassan Omar is someone who started his career as a young man. He's fought for our rights in this country. He's fought for the rule of law in this country. He has helped every corner of this country. This is someone who deserves that seat. Malala is also another young leader, someone who started off as an MCA, to a senator, to a governor. These opportunities are in UDA. They're in Kenya Kwanza. They're not on the other side. So as the youth of this country, if it is truly our time to lead, let's prove that this leadership is ours, and let's take it at the ballots.
Yeah, you have something as we
very
go
fast,
to
very fast. I'm just seeing here on my social media, Jubilee House to be auctioned. I don't know how many of you have seen that. Jubilee House to be auctioned. I mean, clearly the signs of the times. Any blind person who doesn't see that there was a lot of blunders, like for myself, I feel very vindicated today, because some of these blunders are things that we had seen and foreseen. But because of selfish interest, greed, and manipulation, I believe even His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, where he sits today, he's not sitting happy. I believe even Raila Odinga, where he's seated today, he's not sitting happy. Because his team were their biggest failures and their biggest blunders. Because someone like William Ruto, you can, even the other day I saw people in Mount Kenya, I was very surprised. Young men and women from Mount Kenya who were attacking me because of leaving Azimio are today saying that Jubilee killed young leaders' ambitions. You understand? That at Azimio, the ideas of young people were killed. I mean, it clearly shows you the people who are advising the leaders were mistaken and were leading the leadership of Azimio towards the wrong direction. And that is why, and I appreciate what my brother is saying, because for Israel to be able to congratulate a president-elect, they have their intelligence. And the other part which I want to come into is Mr. George Njoroge. How did he access the servers of IEBC to give his forensic analysis? That's one question I would like George Njoroge to answer. Because the article today by a Nation newspaper states that he gave his forensic analysis, which runs hand in hand with the DCI forensic analysis. So I wonder, what level of personal interest, conflict of interest, does Njoroge have in this case? Because Njoroge is the IT director in Azimio. You understand what I'm saying? And how come he's discovering these things now, and he was the person who was meant to safeguard the digital footprint of Raila Odinga? So therefore, it shows you that these people are now, after they have failed the candidate, they are now trying to wash themselves, you know, clean themselves up and give Raila Odinga all kinds of reasons of why this happened or why it didn't happen. The fact that when you had Cybertao Kanchori speaking on Spice and saying that him as a chief agent, he didn't have agents. Sincerely, that is an admission of saying, and I'll quote Joki Dongo in 2017, the Supreme Court said that her opinion was, you cannot use the Supreme Court to be your agent on the ground. If you don't have an agent on the ground, that is your own doing. Okay? So that is what I want to add.
Bunga la moja nchini kwa wazi, nambari 779-800-010. Bunga la moja nchini kwa wazi, 779-800-010. Bunga la moja nchini kwa wazi, nambari ni 779-800-010. 779-800-010. 0779-800-010. Haya, naweza piga. Kuna watu walikuwa wamelia YouTube huko wanasema tufungue bunge. Nataka kuuliza maswali ya bunge, ndio iko wazi. 0779-800-010. 0779-800-010. All right, let me look at a few comments here for them. Thank you so much, Ochieng. I'm seeing Ochieng as sent us. Okay, tuangalie kwanza hawa jamaa wanasema. Jambo, good morning. Bunge la Mwananchi.
Hello, Dara.
Mambo vipi?
Good morning to you. Sorry?
Leta habari baba.
Habari ya Salamia Ruth Ambogo.
Ako hapa, salimia
Been long time. Because the last time niliongea na yeye, nilikuwa nimejam sana.
Alikuwa amekasirikia nani?
Nasikia kuna swali umemuuliza vizuri about numbers, unajua hiyo lesson about numbers.
Via headphones kwa sababu ina nini? Ina affect microphone. Haya, sema nakusikia.
Na nilikuwa naambia Ruth hiyo election is about numbers. Ile kitu unafaa tuulize Ruth. Kama agent wa Azimio walipata form 34A zote. Wako nazo.
Haya, kama walipata form 34A zote
na kama walifanya hesabu yao walipata ni ngapi? Kwa sababu unajua hii maana hacking you can hack a form. Ile form inajaza ya 34A ni physical form unapeleka IEBC na hiyo ndio unatumia kutali your numbers. So hata kama system ilihakiwa what about the original 34A forms? What happened? Na hao walikuwa na agents wao, kila agent alikuwa anapewa kwa polling station. So hivyo ndio wanavaa kutoa. Unajua hao wanaongea kisungu mingi. Na sisi tulipiga kura kwa sababu kama Ruto for example alipata kura 80% Mount Kenya na akapata Rift Valley. Ukiadd hizo vitu hata kama tano zilikuwa low. Na pia alipata some vote from Azimio strongholds kama Western, kama for example Nairobi, Ruto alikuwa almost 15%. Ukaenda coast the same. So hizi vitu sasa wanaona Kenya imetulia kwa sababu Wakenya wanajua Ruto alishinda free and fair.
Okay. Haya.
Yes, so
Mombasa Kakamega.
Hii naona maanza kulia ati hii account imehakiwa. Au kani hii hacking bwana. Ambia watu mchezo. Hii imeenda.
Haya.
You know they've been a lot of rumors of Oparanya being one leg inside, one leg outside.
So I don't know if Ruth has finally gone and checked the page. Is it still fake?
I have checked.
Is it fake or?
I have checked the page.
Is it fake?
Your page, yenye umenitumia, it is a page that is called Weekly for Oparanya for Governor Kakamega.
No, it's called.
The original link is Weekly for Oparanya for Governor Kakamega.
Okay.
Meaning it is a page that was once a campaign page for Oparanya.
So
that has now just been changed the name to Governor Oparanya. Now, do you see what I was talking about?
So why is it? So he has two verified accounts?
No, I mean, you can verify any account. But I'm telling you what would happen is, this is the link that has been sent.
Send me the real account.
The link that has been sent is Weekly for Oparanya for Governor Kakamega.
Send me the true account.
And
the true page.
Let me send you Governor Oparanya's real account.
Mnanitumia the real.
Mnanitumia the real account.
Mnanitumia page tu alafu mambo inasonga. Bunge la Mwananchi, jambo.
Hello.
Mambo vipi?
How are you, Bitok?
Salama sana, mambo vipi?
Yeah, mambo salama. Sasa mimi kuna hao jamaa wako sasa nataka kama ungeweka niongee nao sasa niulize mtu swali hapo.
Direct wako hapa, ongea nao. Wako hapa na wewe. Unataka kuanza na nani?
Nataka kuanza na mtu mwenye wako kwa koti.
Wote wako kwa koti. Wanywele mrefu ama nywele kidogo?
Mwenye anaongea saa hii.
Sasa mimi ndio naongea saa hii.
kuna mtu mwingine
alikuwa naongea. I want to tell them that okay, yeah, the brown guy, yeah. So
the brown guy is Maina, David Maina. Haya, ndio huyu nimekupea ongea.
Maina, David Maina.
Haya, ndio nimekupea.
Okay, let me address. No, the other guy who is mwenye nywele mingi. Let me just address him.
Ndio hizo mwa nywele mingi nimekupea.
You can hack. Let me tell you, a server, he was talking about server. Now, when you take a picture of the chem kit, it does not scan that picture to be a PDF. No, it sends the picture the way it is. When you receive the other side, you receive as a picture. You don't receive as a PDF. That is a fallacy unless it doesn't understand IT.
Okay.
That is wrong.
Okay.
Another thing, attackers can hack the server using sniffers or protocol to analyze capture. If data is sent across network in a clear text, you get the point. An attacker can capture or hacker can capture the data and use a sniffer to read the data and change whatever he wants to change, and it appears in CDF as not original. So to tell people that you cannot hack the server, that is to be ignorant of the technology. I think you should be talking from the basis of understanding the IT. Now, I just wanted to clarify that. Then the other thing I would like them to know first, if you talk now, I can give you the legal perspective of it.
Yes.
If you go to Article 130, you can go to Article 138 that talks about the presidential election. One of the areas there is that the commission. So we need to know who is the commission, because after the polling station is closed, they count the votes. Once they count the vote, it will be count, and then it's counted, tallied, and then verified, and then they send to the National Tallying Center. Okay. So my question is, what is the work of the commission at the National Tallying Center? That is one. And if you go to that chapter, if you go to that article, that is the procedure at presidential election. Then you go to sub-article. It's around sub-article. Maybe I forget. It's somewhere there that they say after voting, after voting they will tally, they count, and then verify. Okay. So after counting the votes in the polling station, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall tally and verify the count and then declare. Now, if you go, that is sub-article 3 clause C. But now, if you go down, you will be told that within 7 days after the presidential election, the chairperson of the IEBC and Boundaries Commission shall declare the result of the election, and they deliver written notification result to Chief Justice and the incumbent president. Now, the preceding or the subsequent clause on that chapter, you can only declare what the commission has verified. You cannot declare on your own. So I need that gentleman to tell Kenyans, because in the affidavit, in the response to the petition of the Raila matter, the Chebukati, in fact, if you read the whole that thing, if you are aware with understand that they are admitting that there were 27 constituencies that were not verified, were not included in the final. And then, therefore, the question is, how then do you declare when you are leaving 27, and 27 is roughly over 700,000 votes? So to that effect, if the court found that the Bukati did not include the commission, it does not specify the IEBC chairman. It states the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to verify. And then the chairperson will declare the result, which is verified by the commissioners. So I want him to tell the public where does what is the role of IEBC commissioners and what is the role of the chairperson of the commission. If indeed the chairperson can verify himself as an individual, then declare whether the commissions are there or not. According to my understanding, because I'm also a law student, what I understand and what I know is Sebukadi has got no right whatsoever to declare that which has not been verified by the 7 commissioners, including himself. The only mandate that he has is to declare the result that has been agreed upon verified by the 7 commissioners, but not denying the other 6 or other 3 or even to access to verification. And to me, that is wrong.
Okay.
And those people need to, I think they need to get some legal advice that Chebukati has got no right as individual to bar other commissioners not to access verification of that to the last. They can only declare what they have. The thing is, once they have agreed and they have tallied everything, if other commissioners choose to run away, Chebukati will declare. But the moment the final has not been reached by the commission, it does not say the IEBC chairperson. No, it says the commission. In this regard, the commission is the 7 of them. So Chebukati cannot deny a part of the commissioners to go and let's say, let me verify, or 27, or Chebukati can claim in court that I verified 27 regardless of who is there. That is, to me, it's wrong. That is to me wrong. And on that point, if the court found that there were 27 constituencies which were not verified by the commission, that is on that ground they can nullify election. Only on that ground. I'm not talking about the numbers because you cannot get those numbers unless the process is clear. But if you go for quantitative evidence, not qualitative evidence, because the other group, they are focused on the quantitative evidence. Now, quantitative evidence are numerical, which I agree with them. But how do you are not disputing the numbers, you are diffusing the process. What I'm saying, how do you arrive at the quantitative evidence or numerical data before the qualitative? Because the process must arrive. The process will arrive you at that number because you cannot focus on the number when the process is compromised. So how then do we say you get this number when somebody is saying these numbers are not?
You've had 10 minutes. I've given you 10 minutes. I've given you 10 minutes of our time. Okay. So I don't know if you can speak to MAINA. MAINA wants to speak to you as you enter. MAINA.
Yes, my brother there has a very good understanding of technology. And I think he's been following the proceedings very well. He has his facts, he has his figures. But I would like to remind Kenyans that what is in question here is not 27 constituencies, is not JPEGs, is not PDFs. What's in question is Forms 34A. Anybody who's talking about anything other than a Form 34A is putting Kenyans on a merry-go-round. Because the Form 34A, after NASA went to court last election, the Form 34 is the final determinant of the election. The thing that is in the portal is a reflection of what happened on the ground. Now, is there even one Form 34A that Raila Odinga and his team have taken to the Supreme Court and said that this does not match with what happened at the ground? And the answer is no. So everything else is a sideshow. Yeah, and on top of that, I would like to also raise an issue here. People are talking about a server in 2022. I don't think Kenyans even know what the definition of a server is. They're saying a server has been hacked. Is that a software server or a hardware server? They're not clear. How many servers were hacked? Is it just one? Because, the government has data backed up again and again. There are so many redundancies. It's practically impossible to change government data. You might be able to hack a little bit here today, but they have data backups. So which server was hacked? Can they give us correct information? Because last time they went and said that they hacked a wrong server. They said it was a Microsoft SQL server, which was not what the IEBC uses. But now because the Kenyan does not know what a server is, people come and say server and JPEG. Can they please define what they're talking about?
Good morning.
Hello, morning, Gareth.
Habari yake?
Mzuri sana, ni Abraham Jalanga.
Leta habari ndugu.
Yes, ningependa tu niongeleshe huyo mwanadada mwenye ako hapo.
Anaitwa Ruth Ambogo. Ruth Ambogo ndio huyo.
Anaitwa Ruth Ambogo.
Haya, mwanadada ongea na.
Yeye ni wa Azimio. Ningependa tu kukumbusha hiyo account ya Ovaranya ni verified.
Nani brother amesema
he's been hacked.
Amesema been hacked by the agents of doom, but you said it was a fake account.
Hakuna mtu ana hii watu tu au watu wamezoea kukataa kila kitu. Ndio maana wako hata Supreme Court leo. Hiyo ni mazoea yao.
Haya ndio ongea naye.
Wacha nimjibu kidogo
Ruth, sikiza kwanza kabla hujanijibu.
Endelea.
Wakati UDA walikuwa wana recruit agents na kudeploy kwa kila polling station. Nyinyi agents yenu walikuwa wakingoja results kama nani aletea hawa. Mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa kwa constituency yangu, nilikuwa nachukua zangu za president na kupeleka kwa constituency tallying center, na kuna mwenye analeta kutoka hapa alete Nairobi. Yenu walikuwa wapi? Kina Chunet sahi na huyo mwenye wanaita Joe, mwenye wanasema kuna teni ya agent yenye wajulikani, yenye mnasema wamejificha. Mimi nataka nikuambie Ruth, hao watu ndio waliangusha huyo baba yenu. Kwa kuambia kila kitu iko sawa, kumbe kila kitu kwa ground mambo ni tofauti. So msiani wacha kulaumu watu na kusema kila kitu ni fake, kila kitu ni opaque, na kuanza kudanganya raia. Kenya sahi watu wako na amani tele kwa sababu ya ushindi ya William Ruto.
Okay.
So mimi ningependa tu niongezee Bwana Bitok jambo moja.
Niko hapa baba, niambie.
Hao watu wa kinacho na top Azimio guys walitanganya Raila kama ile msichana mwenye pato unatanganya uingize yeye kwa box. Unaambia mimi mwenyewe nikipiga mbinguni, wakati hata ukienda Jehanamu mimi nakuja kukutoa huko. Na unajua kweli hakuna hiyo uwezo. So mimi ningependa tu niwaambie wakubaliane na vile imefanyika, wawaje mambo ya kesi, Kenya iende mbele.
Kenya isonge mbele.
Sisi hatuna hiyo maneno, hata wakisema turutie sahi tutapiga 100%, hiyo itakuwa aibu kubwa zaidi. So wasisi wakikataa kila kitu ni fake, account ya Oparanya ni fake. Yeye ameenda CID kuripoti imekuwa. Asante sana, kuwa na siku njema.
Ruth kama anataka kuongea. Good morning Bwana Mwenyeji.
Good morning Bitok.
Mambo vipi?
Huyu ni Maina.
Ila Maina.
Mko aje?
Fresh barida.
Salimia ndugu yangu Maina hapo. Mtu wa manywele na Ambogo.
Mtu wa manywele anaitwa Githaiga.
Githaiga.
Yeah.
Ambia Ambogo, you remember last time I told Ambogo, they lose because they want a strategy.
Yes, nakumbuka.
Akasema wamejipanga. Now we know that even in the media everywhere wako wamejipanga. They thought that deep state itawasaidia. I want to talk to Ambogo direct. Give me Ambogo.
Ambogo ndio anaongea na direct.
Ambogo.
Yes.
What is democracy in your understanding?
My friend, I have 1,000,001 explanations of what democracy is.
So either winning and losing is democracy. Sindio? You watch football team, so to compare football, what matters is the scores, not the fouls that were committed. True?
Yes.
It is the scores. If you have scored 4-0, I have won. Whether you foul Konini, whether the assistant referee ran away, it is the scores that matters. True?
Very true, but you know, election is not a football match, my friend.
True. Now we are talking of the numbers. The voters, not the commissioners, will decide. The voters have the power to decide. True.
The voters have the powers to decide, but a commission can bungle the elections like they did this time around.
This one, no. Now this one, are you disputing the Form 34 is? You are not disputing because you didn't even have the agents at the polling station. Then you come with your fake stories. How was the server hacked? Do you have the proof? You don't have the servers. The servers are with IEBC. True. How do you know the servers were hacked? How can you prove?
IEBC itself has admitted that their servers were breached. Check Daily Nation today.
No, but you see, you have to have your own copies of 34As. True.
No, but why are you running away from IEBC admitting that their servers were breached?
Where?
They have admitted on Daily Nation today.
IEBC, it was a report from this year. IEBC has not spoken. But that's from this year.
In the East African data handlers.
Yeah. Okay. Proceed, Mudosi.
Yeah, true. Tell Ambogo, Raila should know democracy, even accepting defeat is democracy. True. Why is it the common denominator every election? Yeah. Kwani yeye ndio ameweka democracy kwake nyumbani? Kwani democracy kwa Karen? So that every time you say there is no democracy in Kenya. Ambogo. You remember? Yes.
I hear you.
Also, we need, yes, not every time. I was born 1982. Now I'm 40 years. He's still saying that he was rigged. How? He had the machinery, he had the government, everything. Yeah? They are the one. Now we have...
Tusaidia watu wengine nafasi pia bro.
Sawa.
Asante. Bonga la mwenye jambo. Bonga la mwenye jambo. Good morning. Bonga la mwenye jambo. Haya, kama kidogo. Napata 0779-800-010. Bonga la mwenye 0779-800-010. 0779-800-010. Oparanya amesema imefunjwa mlango ya Facebook yake. Acha tusikia ongwana kwanza tumalize. Tafadhali nikikupa nafasi tufinya dakika 2 umalize. Bonga la mwenye jambo.
Hello? So I come back again.
No. There's no room for coming back now. Bonga la mwenye jambo. Bonga la mwenye jambo.
Hello?
Please Zima.
I support
please Zima on the background. Naongea na nani?
Ongea na wakili Modhani Mburu.
You hosted me once in the show.
Oh, Modhani Mburu.
Yes. Na sisi ni wanajeshi wa baba. Na tumesimama na baba. And we know even with this Supreme Court what we are waiting for on 5th of September. It will really prove the will of the people.
Okay.
And that is, we actually won the election fair and square. So kudos to RUTH AMBOGO and my brother there. Great work.
Asante.
Okay.
Hiyo ni akili Modhani Mburu. Amesema the Supreme Court will speak on the will of the people.
But let's just investigate that. It's something I really wanted to point.
Ya ndio chukue simu ya mwisho tu. Bonga la mwenye jambo.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello Bitok.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Mna gani bwana?
Leta habari baba.
Nzuri, mimi napiga kutoka Mwele, naitwa Karayu. Bwana, sasa mimi nakaa tu nikiwa Mwele na furahia show. Wale kazi nzuri unafanya, lakini Bitok, unajua hii ndio forum pekee yake niko naye kwa sekunde 30 unaweza nipatia niongee niendeleze hiyo MAINA hiyo mambo ya agent bwana, kwa sababu pande inawaka moto.
Mambo ya agent bado pesa kuja?
Bado unajua chenye ilikuwa watu wenye presidential agent kila polling station walikuwa watu wawili ambao wako na letter of appointment imekuwa sign na Professor Kizere Kunduki. Lakini sasa unajua ile candidates wengine kama senator, women rep na MPs pia walikuwa na agent zao. For example, kama agent ya senator alipa agent yake, women rep alipa agent yake. Sasa ile majina ile watu walipa na UDA headquarters ikawa sio wale ambao ni agent wa president, ikakuwa ni wale agent wa ile candidate wa MP.
Sawa, fanya hivi Adana. Napea namba yako MAINA akupigie after show. Anakupigia, napea namba yako. Sasa hivi atakupigia. Haya. Sawa, acha tufunge bola mjini. Tunaona mheshimiwa RUTH AMBOGO ako na haraka kidogo. Unajua mambo ya mheshimiwa ni mingi. Utupia tackle of the day alafu
I mean, for me, tackle of the day is that my prayer during this transition period, wherever the transition is taking place, be it at the presidential level, at the gubernatorial level, at the woman representative level, at the senatorial level, all the way down to the MCA level. It is my prayer that those who have been elected into office remember the work, the value, the substance, the commitment, the participation that the youth played or the role they played in ensuring that these people got to office. It has been practiced by these leaders to use young people as agents to get them to office, and once they're in office, that is it. Until the next election, tupatane baadaye. So it is my prayer that these people remember that the same contribution the youth had in getting them into office is the very same contribution, participation and dedication that the youth will have if given chances to be part of their offices and part of their governance structures. So I hope to see governors appointing young people as CCs. I hope to see governors appointing young people as county commissioners. I hope to see senators appointing into their offices young people as part of their strategy teams. I hope to see women representatives appointing young people into their offices as part of their teams, because the same energy, the same brains that we bring to the ground and to get you voted is the same energy and brains and good ideas and fresh energy that we will bring towards delivering the mandate that you have as a leader. So I hope to see myself, Ruth Ambogo, appointed somewhere.
You have to see yourself somewhere. All the very best.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you may allow me, I just want to go back to... I wanted just to go back to the caller who was talking about, he seemed like he had a lot of knowledge on IT. MAINA was also acknowledging that. But however, I want to tell him this. The KIMS kit, as is provided internationally, does not take JPEG photos. It scans. Even it's a software that has been put within the KIMS kit. It scans. It takes like a photo, but it's actually a scan. Even your phone has that kind of software. So I want to correct that caller and tell him that yes, there is taking a photo for JPEG, and that's true. But for this particular KIMS kit, they have the capacity to take a photo and save it as a PDF. And it's important that people like John Njoroge stop misleading Kenyans, because he also came up with a forensic analysis of the server. My big question is, was he part of the hackers, the 200 hackers that we've been told by IEBC? And I would like that company investigated to find out where they were, how they managed to do a forensic analysis on a server that does not belong to them, that belongs to IEBC, and how they managed to access it and to get the data. I can understand for DCI, just the other day we had the forensic lab being launched at DCIO. I can understand they may have the capacity as investigators. But for Njoroge, who gave him the express permission to go into the IEBC server, he needs to come out clear, because East African data handlers have given a forensic report, and it is being used by Azimio to show that there was interference and interception by people from outside. So how he came out to find out that, and what authority had to get that information, is the big question that he needs to answer. Yes. Thank you.
MAINA.
When I look at what the callers are talking about, the callers who understand that this election is about the 34A. If your concern is not about the 34A, those are side issues. Those are side shows that they're doing. And on this matter of the JPEG, this is just like the server. Nobody's telling us what a JPEG is, how they can determine whether it's a JPEG or not. But I can understand where some people's confusion is coming from. Because as my brother has said, KIMS kit will scan it as a PDF. And because we tallied, I can tell you that the forms on IEBC portal are in PDF format. The ones that might be in JPEG, you see, like in UDA, we were also verifying these 34As with our own agents. So our agents had their mobile phones, Android or iPhone, whatever. The picture they take with their phone and send to us, because they're our agents, those ones will come in JPEG. But the ones from KIMS kit will come in as PDF. Now, if there are people who did not focus, like let's say on what was happening with IEBC, that's why they might be getting some confusion about JPEG. Again, it's an issue of confusion.
Very quickly, MAINA, even to support your point.
Yes.
A photo, a JPEG that is taken loses its what do you call it? The capacity, the quality.
The quality, yes.
Every time you share again, it loses the quality.
Yes.
And you know that is a fact.
Yes.
So there is no way in the world that any election in any part of the world would use a JPEG, because that would compromise the quality, and people would not be able to read it. And then again, the quality of phones that are taking these JPEGs, and I'm sure you experienced that as well.
Yes.
Some agents didn't have the best phones in the world.
So there was clarity issues.
There were clarity issues. So go ahead.
Yeah, and again, because we're young people and it's our ideas which push this country forward, maybe as a suggestion, in the next election, rather than just uploading these things to a server, can we use blockchain technology? Because there are some people who have gained access to IEBC and have been reported to delete and upload new things. If we were to use blockchain technology, security. The form that is uploaded will have a digital signature and it will be stored on several nodes. So that even if you put yours up and deleted it, there are several nodes which still have that original thing, and there's a barcode or whatever kind of identifier that shows you the original one. But these are things for the next commissioner to do. I pray it's not going to be a kina Madam OPEC, because clearly we are seeing the focus is on the wrong place.
And also they are the blockchain technology. What blockchain technology does is that anytime there's a spam or any attack on the system, what blockchain technology does is it has many blocks. They are called, that's why it's a blockchain. So immediately you touch that, or there's alarm, because it alarms, and it actually deletes that one you've touched, interference, and it moves to the next block. And it can move to 1,000 blocks. So before you figure out, and the password is stored in blockchains. So you have to know, and it's always a structural access. So you alone cannot access it. You will need another person to put another code to get into the main server. So it's kind of impossible.
And this is the kind of brain that the Azimio presidential campaign was denied. If this guy was on their team, clearly, maneno labda ingeribika vile meribika. But as youths, let's just learn the lessons from this election. Let us refuse to follow leaders into the opposition. You can't be taken to the opposition 5 times in a row. Because as much as people say that Raila was lied to, Raila is a very seasoned, probably the most seasoned politician in Kenya. For him to follow Infotrack walimuingisha Mustuni 1997, wakamuingisha Mustuni 2007, wakamuingisha Mustuni 2013, wakamuingisha Mustuni 2017, and in 2022 he went to look for Infotrack again. He believed their numbers, and those are the numbers they were using. So when they see the real numbers on the ground, it's confusing them. So I would just urge...
I have some 2 guys on the line. Felix, Jambo.
Jambo, Gerald.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning to you. I like your show for educating us and miseducating some of us with some of the ideas.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, what is the composition of the commission of the IEBC?
Okay. What is the composition?
Because there's a guy who's called saying that the commissioners didn't verify the results. But it's nowhere that in the constitution that says the commissioners need to verify the results. It's the commission that verifies the results.
Okay.
If the clerks from the polling station is the composition of the commission, to the presiding officers, to the returning officers at the county level, to the guys who are working at the bombers that time, if all those people verified the results, do we need the verification from the commissioner? Because if it was verified by the commission, because these guys are misleading us that the commission are the commissioner. The commission comprises of every people, from the clerk to the presiding officer to the returning officer, everyone from all the other systems, even the clerks are the bombers. So why lie to us that the commissioners didn't verify the results? It's the commission that verifies the results. It's not the commissioners that verify the results. Yeah, that is my point. Because the guys are saying that the 4 commissioners left without verifying the results. But it's the commission that verifies the results. It's not the commissioner.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good clarification from Felix. All right. Ayez, still have Ayez. Ayez, bunga la banyanchi. Mambo vipi? Good morning.
Morning.
Mambo vipi?
Vipi.
Okay, naongea nani?
Zakaya Umuru.
Niambie. Mbio. Masani mbaya.
Kwa kwanza. There are just two answers or 2 questions I wanted to pose. Okay. Yeah. One. One about you and Governor Paranya. This is really true that he has been hurt.
Okay.
We have evidence that the brother-in-law Governor Paranya is the dereva wa Malala. If you can come out and deny that, you have even evidence that picture. The brother-in-law or the second.
The guy is not very clear. Bongala manchi jambo.
Hello.
Yes. Haraka upesi, tunataka kufunga kazi.
Hello, Bito.
Yes, nakusikia. Ongea nani?
Habari ya asubuhi.
Simba ndugu.
Huyu ni Augustine.
Augustine, mambo vipi?
Salama sana ndugu yangu. Nataka huyu Abongo.
Ametoka.
Ametoka. Kwa nini anatoroka na huyu sasa ndio nilikuwa natafuta kabisa?
Leta tu habari nitapelekea.
Sasa hawa they're acting on rumors. Because one, you know how quick did they audit the server? If at all the server was hacked, because server needs some time for you to audit it and know whether it was hacked or not hacked. Yes. Again, we are talking here about 34A, which is the final form. Do they have any form they are disputing that this one has contradicting figures?
Okay.
Do they have?
They say they don't have.
Unless
they found it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, about the bombers. All agents were present.
Okay.
Verification was being done in broad daylight.
Okay.
And I hope the agents were also present. So why are they complaining?
Why are they complaining?
Why are they complaining? Do they have contradicting figures from the agents? They don't have.
Okay.
Do they have contradicting figures from the agents from polling station? They don't have.
Okay.
Which means these people are people who are talking rumors. I don't know, you cannot go to court with rumors.
Sawa, asante Augustine. Masaa ni mbaya, ningekupa nafasi zaidi lakini masaa nimetuacha 10
Okay.
5 minutes past 10. Kesho upige on time. Asante. Haya, tufunge bana. Tackles of the day.
Nataka kuanza hivi. Kitu ya kwanza nikijibu hawa wapigaji simu. Composition ya commission ndio ameuliza. Composition ya commission ni mara mbili. Kuna board na kuna secretariat pande moja. Na secretariat ndio inasimamiwa na CEO. Commission inasimamiwa na chairperson. Haya, kwa commission kuna commissioners wa 7. Sawa. Na chairman ni Chebukati. Kwenye Election Act 2011 inasema Chebukati ndio announce. Yeye ndio returning officer. Kama venye kulikuwa na county returning officer, kama venye kulikuwa na constituency returning officer, yeye ndio returning officer wa presidential election. Na yeye ndio amepewa hiyo nafasi ya kuannounce the final tally. Alafu kwa hiyo swali lingine na nimefurahia venye ameuliza. Hata mimi ningetaka kuuliza swali kadhaa kwa hiyo forensic audit na hii mambo yote tunaoneshwa. Did the DCI get a court order to the effect or to effect the forensic audit? Kwa sababu kila kitu lazima ifuate sheria. Ni vizuri ya kwamba kama kuna kitu yote inafanyika officially ikuwe na sheria inayoipatia nguvu ya kufanya hivyo. Ya pili, did East African data handlers walikuwa na express permission gani ya kuundertake forensic audit kama walieza? Kulingana hata na security ile iko kwa server na shangaa venye walieza. Pengine wanampoteza kiongozi wa Azimio na hii maneno yote. Ni hayo tu kwangu.
Just to touch on the question by Felix about the composition of the IEBC. I think the only bone of contention is the presidential results. Nobody is questioning MCA all the way up to governor. So for the presidential results, the final result, the 34C, the consensus of the commission is not required because the chairman, as has been stated here, is the national returning officer. And being a returning officer is not a plenary function. Chebukati has been tasked with that in the constitution. And again, the chairman of the IEBC has to have the qualifications of a Supreme Court justice. It's only Chebukati who has that qualification. Madam Opek and her team do not have that. So even if they remove Chebukati, we're not going to have a replacement for him. And I think that if people are not talking about 34As once again, it's about misinformation. On this matter of accessing IEBC servers, in 2017, you remember NASA came and told us, oh, they have hacked the servers. And the question that was not asked was, how did you as NASA find out that those servers were hacked, unless you hacked them yourself? This time, again, they're telling us that East African data handlers have done a forensic audit on servers that they're not supposed to have access to. So it looks like they have hacked again. So I think that there needs to be some questions about what really happened there, and this investigation by the DCI should be looked at as interference. Because if the DCI wanted to do their job, can they please give Kenyans the KEMSA report? Yeah, this was asked for a long time ago. And to finish up, I want to also address that gentleman who called and asked about agents' payment. This is the mix-up I was telling you about. So sometimes you have a list with presidential agents. Sometimes you have a list with, let's say, constituency agents. Okay. So if the data was mixed up, then that kind of issue will come up. But we're cleaning up the data, and I want to assure all our agents on the ground, anybody working for UDA Kenya Kwanza, you will get your pay. We appreciate your work, and we're with you. So whatever you need to do your job, and without any fear of intimidation or anything else of the sort. And as a parting shot, mine is to the youth of this country. Somebody who has led his own community to the opposition for 60 years cannot lead you anywhere useful in this country anymore. We have seen William Ruto coming up for president, and on his first try, yeah, because he told them even in 2017, muspongalia mambo yenyu huko mbele itaharibika, and we can see what's happened. He talked about organization, and I can tell you it's a very simple thing. 80% strategy, 20% kikapu. Yeah. On the other side, it was 100% kikapu na kifua. Yeah. So there was no strategy, and they threw out the strategists, and you can see today. Yeah. If they had listened to these young people, they would be somewhere. So please, let's look at the kind of coalition that is giving youth an opportunity. 75% of William Ruto's presidential campaign was the youths. And if you look at the manifesto, those are things that are there to solve youth issues. Number one is agriculture, to solve the unemployment problem for 10 million youths. On the other side, on Azimio, it's Kifua saying, we'll give you 6,000. For what? We want youths to become millionaires also. How do they do that? Through agriculture. So I want to urge the youths of Mombasa and Kakamega. Look at this thing differently. The government has already been decided. There's a ruling party in place. Sit at the table, finally, for once. Do not allow people to tell you to go to the opposition and make noise there. Sit at the table and decide on these issues. Kenya's biggest issue is one, not the economy, but the youth bulge. If we mismanage this youth bulge, and the only way to mismanage it is by letting people who are not of our generation run it. If we mismanage this youth bulge, we don't have a country. So I call on all the youths to join the ruling party, to join the ruling coalition, support our candidates, sit at the table, and let's figure out how to make Kenya great as it's supposed to be. Let's take this country back to where Kibaki had us and move forward, because the next thing the world will be looking at, not just Kenyan democracy, not just Kenyan elections, not just transparency in Kenya, but the Kenyan economy is going to take this continent by storm. In the 21st century is Kenya's to win, as far as Africa's economy is concerned. So please, voters in Mombasa, voters in Kakamega, we're asking you for your vote. Tunaomba na unyenyekevu, tafadhali tupatie kura ili tuweze kutengeneza serikali itaangalia maslahi ya vijana. Asanteni sana.
I urge the youth of Kenya to be peaceful.
Okay.
And to stay at home at their workplaces. Not to be lured to act emotionally or without sobriety. We know there's a lot of issues going around. Even all I urge is that evidence that is provided, because everybody now has filed. There's no filing anymore. And I pity someone like Tuju, who is giving press statements instead of signing affidavits. I hope he signed his affidavit, because if what he gave as a press statement was not an affidavit in the rejoinder, then I think it's just going to be hearsay, and it won't have any effect to support the Azimio's case there. So the uphill task is left to Azimio, really, because they are the petitioners. They're the ones who have the probable to show proof. The burden of proof of all this is upon them. And if they were not even ready, as they were not even ready for the election, then I can see a lot of tears coming ahead. But all in all, we are all Kenyans. I'm not going to stand here and belittle any Azimio supporter or leader, because as provided by the Constitution, it's every person's right to have a political choice or political affiliation, or right to freedom to association and expression. Everyone is equal in this country. There is no big person or small person. But I want to thank also His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President-elect, for the great campaign he put forward. Us as young people have learned a lot from him. I think he's going to be the person we're going to always talk about moving in the future. Because as a young person, we always face a lot of hurdles. We always face a lot of challenges, especially with the older generation. Most of the times our ideas are pushed aside because you don't have a heavy background. You don't have a godfather with you. You don't have someone big with you. I'm not saying William Ruto, he's come from far as well. Since the 90s, 1997 when he was first elected. This is such a great example of what young people in this country, if you believe and have a vision, and document your vision as well. Don't have a vision because our memories can play against us. But if you document and say in 10 years, this is where I want to be, and you stick to your path like William Ruto has, you will achieve despite the challenges that you have. And I also like to thank Raila Amolo Odinga for putting off a good campaign and running against William Ruto. Even though the election was announced the other side, there is still a tomorrow, and there is still a lot of future, a lot of young people that he can mentor into the leadership positions. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you, gentlemen, and also Ruth Ambogo in absence. It was a pleasure to have you. Also, the THETACKLE who have been with us all this while for 2 hours. It's always a pleasure to have you. There's reporters on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you so much. By the way, if you want to support the broadcast, you can send in the stickers. Kuna stickers pale ziko hapo in the comment section. You can see a dollar sign there. You can click on it and you can send us the stickers. You can able to support with any amount that you can, from 200 shillings all the way to, let's see how far the stickers go. All the way to 5,000 Kenya shillings, from 5,000 shillings. Yes, you can support us. You can send in the stickers, and you can ensure that you can make this broadcast better. So if you're on YouTube and you wish to support us, thank you for those who have been supporting us. Kinatikas now, all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for always supporting us. I'm also Ochieng, also Thomas Ochieng, they're from Nyanza. I was in Nyanza juzi. Asanteni sana kwa samaki. Watu wa Nyanza ni watu wazuri zaidi. Thank you. Thank you for the support that you sent us as well. Thomas Ochieng on the stickers. Thank you. Atikas now, all the way from the UK. So if you're out there and you wish to be part of this broadcast to ensure that it works better and becomes better, you can always support us. Ama pia unataka M-Pesa, unasema tunakutumia namba M-Pesa. Also, we still want to remind you that we're giving you a trial session. If you're a content creator, there's this beautiful idea that you've always had in your mind, and you would love to do content. You want to do content and to create content. I've said this time and again that I want to see a space where every dream gets a chance. So in my space of content creation, if you have a dream, if you have an idea that you want to see, you want to see it seeing the light of the day, then we're giving you a 1-month trial period where you can come in and get your stuff recorded, get your content recorded, and you're able to broadcast it out there. For a month, we're giving you a free trial from there. Okay, mambo ni shwari, then you can continue, you can subscribe and pay the monthly fees that you're going to charge. So you can call the number on the screen. You can see the poster there. You can call the number on the screen, talk to Steve, 0777-767-115, or 777-767-115, or you can visit our offices at 9 Planets Apartments, Gubernatorial Gardens, S2, and you're able to meet Steve there and schedule your appointment. So we're giving you a 1-month trial for any idea that you think of also who have already signed up. I saw there's a gentleman who sent me a link on Instagram of the pages they've already done for their content. So you can be part of us. You can also ensure that your content gets space and you're able to be seen out there. And lastly, I still want to remind you that pale Optiven bado tunauza mashamba, and we are doing phase 2 Malindi Breeze, at only 449 Kenyan shillings. Unaweza kupata plot yako kutoka pale Mombasa, pale Malindi. I keep asking you, what if that trip to the coast could be a trip home? So invest with Optiven. Call your number 790-300-300. Pale Nanyuki Pia, Great Oasis, we have done the balls, so you can be pretty sure that you're going to get water on ground. This is the best thing about Optiven, is to give you value-added properties. Value-added properties. We don't just sell you land. We give you value-added properties. Until tomorrow. I also want to tell you, tomorrow in the evening from 7:30 p.m., we'll be having Miguna. General Miguna will be on the show tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, on the 30th of August 2022. Kesho jioni, saa 1:30, utakuwa na Generali, Daktari Miguna. He'll be here.
We look forward to that, boss.
He'll be here shooting shots. I hope he'll not also shoot me. You know that guy.
Yeah. But you know, it really shows you that what goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. And the level of dishonesty in the last 5 years in Kenyan politics has really from the top level, from the head, you know, you can see a lot of desperation, a lot of, you know, like lies and, you know, there's been just a bad way of doing politics for the last 5 years. And I really pray for William Samoei Ruto that he takes over that seat and runs this country the way it's supposed to be. Or else we'll end up like Sri Lanka. Let us not experiment our country anymore. Let us do what we promise the voters. Because the voters are our people. And if people don't have food to eat, if people don't have clothes to wear, if they don't have a house to sleep in, then there will be a lot of problems. Yeah.
Alright, kesho asante sana. So kesho jioni mjitayarishe, nahitaji maji ya ndoo na ikuwe safi. Babu kama ataenda sege mnege kidogo. I've sent you Shangu all the way from Korea. Anauliza sticker. Please click on the link that I've sent you. Go to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to get a stickers running in. British Selanga Gerald, you are to bring IEBC official to demystify all this years about JPEG. I'm hoping to have someone tomorrow. I'm sending the request to have someone coming in tomorrow. Then we see what happens. Shangu ndio ingia. Joan Jero sema wao Miguna amin. Haya, kesho jioni kuanzia saa 1:30 tutakuwa na Daktari Generali Miguna. Until then, take care. This is the THETACKLE ends right now.